Chapter 1042. In the blink of an eye, 8 years had passed. At this moment, Chun Hao was also immersed in chanting the great Tao Sanskrit and doing his best to assist Edo Tai. In order to save time, not only did he supply a steady stream of top-grade spirit spring water to Edo Tai, but he also carefully perceived the nature, level, quality, characteristics, and other details of the heaven and earth energy in Edo Tai's body. He deliberately refined the heaven and earth energy contained in the spirit spring water to meet Edo Tai's needs as much as possible. Although it was impossible to achieve complete consistency, it could greatly save Edo Tai's refining time. In this way, the embryonic form of the macro world would undoubtedly be formed faster. 100 years, this was the time limit that Chun Hao gave to Edo Tai. He could only do his best to make the embryonic form of the macro world that Edo Tai condense stronger. However, boom, voila, chi. What made Chun Hao suddenly wake up was that 8 years, including the refining and integration of the macro world mark, was only 8 years. Without any warning, an extremely terrifying aura suddenly soared violently from Edo Tai's body, forcing away the spirit spring water that surrounded him. At the same time, a majestic and pure essence, chi, and spirit soared into the sky. Immortal light bloomed, and Tao laws rolled. Boom! At this moment, the palace formed by Chun Hao's magical power was directly pierced through by Edo Tai, triggering the divine punishment. Chun Hao looked in surprise at Edo Tai, who did not give him any time to prepare himself, and his eyes widened. Immediately, Chun Hao's eyes revealed a touch of emotion. Smart as he was, he almost instantly realized what Edo Tai had done. He acted first and reported later. Obviously, Edo Tai had just condensed the embryonic form of the macro world and triggered the divine punishment to buy time for himself. Moreover, he did not give himself the chance to stop it. Master, come in. Although it's a little shabby, it will be better soon. Edo Tai stood in the void, releasing his essence, chi, and spirit to the best of his ability, and said to Chun Hao. Chun Hao stared at Edo Tai. After half a minute, he took a deep breath and didn't say a word. He waved his hand and released a stream of energy to reseal the damaged palace. He glanced at the 9 geniuses who were still immersed in enlightenment and directly went into Edo Tai's forehead. There's no need to alarm them. Let's take advantage of the fact that the tribulation clouds haven't formed and go far away. Yes, Master. Chi. Edo Tai directly turned into a stream of light and quickly flew into the depths. At this time, the void had already begun to fluctuate terrifyingly. The heaven and earth energy also moved with Edo Tai's movement. Master. After Chun Hao entered the embryonic form of the great world in Edo Tai's mind, the voices of the 5 mythological beasts directly resounded in it. 8 years, Chun Hao muttered. Soon after, a bright light flashed in his eyes as he said, Don't relax. I'll help you refine it before it takes shape. This, Master, I'm afraid it won't work, right? Only Edo Tai and our soul origins can transform the great world in the mind. Master, you don't have to worry. The 6 of us have 10,000 years of fusion experience, and the fusion is perfect. Although the time is a little short, it won't be too far off from the peak state. I naturally can't help with the foundation, but I can help with the internal environment. You could transform it according to the layout that suits you best. Whoosh! After Chun Hao finished speaking, an endless spirit spring gushed out from between his eyebrows. At the same time, endless immortal light and thousands of Tao laws rolled out. What shocked the 5 mythological beasts and Edo Tai, who was controlling everything with his mind, even more, was that a fruit shining with majestic vitality and endless mystery entered Edo Tai's simple and narrow great world along with the endless Tao laws. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit. This was originally left by Chun Hao for Chen Shui. In fact, it had already matured. However, the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree had been evolving. Chun Hao wanted to give it to Chen Shui, who had half of the Khanate Taoist embryo when it was stronger. However, Chun Hao had plucked it at this moment. Master, Itota's voice became a little choked up as he stood in the void. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit was something that the cultivation world would go crazy over, but his master had given him a servant. No, Master, I'm not worthy. It's a waste, a real waste. Please put it away, Master. If you're not worthy, who is? Split a strand of your mind so the six of you can transform it with all your might. Don't waste time. Whether it's the Tao manifestation immortal fruit or the spirit spring, they're nothing in my great world. Take advantage of the fact that they haven't completely taken shape and plant them in the core of your great world. Chen Hao said directly as a boundless spirit spring gushed out from between his eyebrows. Due to his personality, Chen Hao couldn't express his gratitude. There was no need for him to do so. In the beginning, although Ito Ta had committed all sorts of crimes and been taken in as a sole servant, he had long since gained Chen Hao's acknowledgement and treated him like a brother. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed the 5 mythological beasts to train with him alone back then. In order to find him, Ito Ta and the 5 mythological beasts had resolutely stepped into the depths of the chaotic space for 10,000 years. How many life and death situations had they experienced? Now, because he was in a hurry to return, he had given up on condensing the prototype of his great world. This was the foundation of his future strength and realm. What was a Tao manifestation immortal fruit? Seeing that Ito Ta and the 5 mythological beasts still hadn't started, Chen Hao said coldly, "This is an order. Execute it." Master. Yes. Ito Ta and the 5 mythological beasts knew that they couldn't change their master's decision. They could only execute it. Otherwise, they would miss the best opportunity. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The terrifying tribulation clouds gathered the energy of heaven and earth in the surroundings at an alarming speed. The range of fluctuations expanded to a terrifying extent. Countless cultivators could sense the terrifying aura of the great heavenly punishment that had advanced to the Hongmeng realm. Crack! As countless cultivators gathered to borrow the light to comprehend, the first heavenly punishment that seemed to connect the 9 heavens and 10 earths came crashing down. Looking at the figure that had just arrived in the Hongmeng domain, everyone was filled with horror and shock. This was only Li Mubai's servant. However, the strength of the heavenly punishment was incomparable to that of countless top geniuses when they advanced to the Hongmeng realm. However, Ito Ta had chosen to resist it head-on. Rumble, terrifying tremors of heaven and earth spread across the entire primordial mist domain in hundreds of millions of miles. Buzz. At this moment, even though Chen Hao had resealed the palace that he had condensed, he couldn't stop the fluctuations of the heavenly punishment of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. The Tao voice has disappeared. What a powerful fluctuation of the heavenly punishment. Oh no! Whoosh! Zhou Qinglong was the first to awaken from his intoxicated state of enlightenment. What a powerful, supreme-grade spirit spring. Wake up! Little Hao Hao is leaving. Whoosh! Zhou Qinglong's sharp cry penetrated the depths of everyone's soul and instantly awakened Yin Xian and the others from their state of enlightenment. Initially, they were still angry. However, after hearing Zhou Qinglong's words, they immediately jumped up and chased after Zhou Qinglong. They didn't even care about the powerful supreme-grade spirit spring. Chapter 1043. Kacha, Kacha. Rumble. Tens of thousands of thunderbolts, like a sea of purgatory, annihilated everything within a radius of millions of miles. The universe was in chaos. Heaven and earth were broken, and time and space were distorted. Itota stood proudly in the endless purgatory of thunderbolts, as if he had returned to the chaos before the creation of heaven and earth. This was a vision that would only occur when a cultivator was promoted to the supreme realm of Hongmeng. Itota, who had resisted the heavenly punishment, had a strong physical body, which was beyond the imagination of countless cultivators who were watching from afar. His majestic blood chi was like an abyss. Under the bombardment of tens of thousands of thunderbolts, not only was his body not damaged, but a faint crystal light bloomed from under his skin, as if he had turned into a crystal. What Itoda had obtained was Gwennu's strong physical body. Now, after thousands of years of tempering in the chaotic space, his physical body was extremely strong. No one knew that at this moment, Itoda had even given up comprehending the mystery of the law of heaven in the pressure of the heavenly punishment. He was using the short remaining time of the heavenly punishment to transform the embryonic form of the macro world in his mind. The law of heaven could be comprehended at any time as one's realm improved. But the embryonic form of the macro world, once it was fixed, it would be extremely difficult to change its nature. In fact, for most people, it was impossible. The embryonic form of the macro world was like the combination of building the framework of the macro world. Once it was fully formed, this combination was difficult to change. In the future, with the improvement of one's cultivation and the refinement of the macro world, it could continue to grow and become stronger, but the combination was difficult to change. The stronger it was, the more difficult it was. This was the key reason why all the cultivators would rather stay in the Hongmeng domain for thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years, to refine the embryonic form of the macro world to its peak state. Li Mubai's servant has only been in the Hongmeng domain for a few decades, but he has comprehended the Hongmeng Qi, obtained the mark of the macro world, and refined it to his peak state. It's obviously impossible. That's why it's so amazing. The heavenly punishment is so strong without refining it to its peak state. If the embryonic form of the macro world is refined for thousands of years, what will it be like? I dare not say anything else, but I'm sure that when the 9 great evildoers reach the Hongmeng domain, they are not necessarily stronger than this person. Where did Li Mubai go? He should still be cultivating. Before we came here, we saw his palace, Qi. Chi, 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 chi. At this moment, a dark green crystal light cut through the void and suddenly appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others. What surprised everyone was that Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, Xiang Tiange, Xiana, and the rest of the 10, under the terrifying pressure of heavenly punishment, were actually approaching the endless thunder core at lightning speed. What are they doing? Don't tell me they're fighting at this time? Little Hao, Brother Chun. Just as everyone was puzzled, Zhou Qinglong's disgusting voice, as well as the voices of Yin Xian and the others, resounded throughout the world. Even the rumbling of the thunder from the 9th heaven was drowned out. Their voices were filled with emotions of agitation, reluctance, and gratitude. From the time they obtained the Great World Mark until now, although they had only cultivated by Chun Hao's side for about 20 years, they had all entered a powerful state close to enlightenment. The Tao sound of the lotus tongue, the endless supply of the best quality spirit spring, and the convergence of thousands of Tao laws. This kindness was really too great. Helping Chun Hao find the Great World Mark was originally to repay Chun Hao's kindness of giving them the mysteries of the Immortal Sutra and the Great 5 Elements art, but they did not expect that it would become even more owing. At this moment, needless to say, Chun Hao and Itoda were about to leave. From now on, their chances of repaying would become extremely slim. When they first entered the palace, they knew that Chun Hao was doing his best to help Itoda comprehend the Hongmeng Qi. Now that Itoda had triggered heavenly punishment, they knew that Chun Hao was bound to follow his servant back to the vast thousand domains that belonged to him, and not the great world of C&D. Otherwise, it would not be like this. Before the endless cycle of reincarnation awakened to the peak state before the cycle of reincarnation, when he advanced to the Hongmeng realm, he could not open the Milky Way tunnel to return to the vast thousand domains. They knew this very well. Little Hao, will you go to the great world of C&D? Will it be possible for them to meet you? After approaching a certain distance, Zhou Qinglong suddenly stopped and shouted at the thunder core. His voice recovered some of its manliness. Buzz! A shadow suddenly escaped from between Itoda's eyebrows. In the tens of thousands of thunderbolts, it was not affected at all. The great world of C&D. I should go. Cultivate well. When we meet again in the future, I hope you are qualified to exchange pointers with me. Brother Chun, We will go to the great world of CND soon. You must go. We will wait for you there. Yin said, I will not return until I become a true immortal king. I believe that we will meet Brother Chun. I hope Brother Chun will not be too late. We will improve very quickly. We have been suppressed for too long. Xiang Tinga said, Little how? Can I give you a definite answer? Go. The great world of CND may be the only way to reach the peak of martial arts. Okay, I will wait for you. Forever. Woo. I don't want to be separated from you. Zhou Qinglong, this damn pervert, actually covered his face and started crying like a spoiled child. Chen Hao was speechless. However, Yin Xian and Xiang Tinga did not despise Zhou Qinglong this time. Instead, they hugged him from both sides. Crack! Rumble! The terrifying heavenly punishment became stronger and stronger. The aura that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths suddenly became 10 times, 100 times stronger. Okay, we will meet again. Wait. At this moment, Zhou Qinglong suddenly stopped crying and raised his head to look at Chun Hao's projection. Immediately, a jade-green crystal radiance blossomed with incomparably resplendent celestial light between his eyebrows. The moment it appeared, even the terrifying pressure of the heavenly punishment was pushed aside by the crystal radiance. Little how, this is for you. I am not willing to take advantage of others. If I owe you something, I will not be at ease. What? Chi? Zhou Qinglong pushed it in front of Chun Hao's projection. Just accept it. Little how, goodbye. Let's go. After Zhou Qinglong finished speaking, he turned into a ray of light and left quickly. Goodbye, Brother Chun. Chi, Yin Xian, and the others, who were obviously still in shock, cupped their fists at Chun Hao from afar and quickly chased after him. This freak, Chun Hao's projection, who was still in a daze, smiled. With a chi, he took the thing that Zhou Qinglong had given him and disappeared into the embryonic form of the great world in Atoda's mind. Although he did not know what it was, the expressions of Yin Xian and the others told him that it was something very important to Zhou Qinglong. Judging from its aura, Chun Hao guessed that it was something that the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Tree needed the most. First update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1044. Chi, Rumble. Ito Terra and the 5 divine beasts were racing against time. Finally, the moment the prototype of the great world took shape, the moment the 9 levels of heavenly punishment ended, endless Tao and immortal light bloomed from between their eyebrows, along with a weak but pure life force. Voila! At this moment, the energy of the great world in his mind surged. The spirit spring and Tao manifestation immortal fruit provided by Chun Hao imitated the appearance of the great world in Chun Hao's mind and merged with his great world in the core. At this moment, the immortal light that connected the 9 heavens and 10 lands enveloped Atoda, and he flew away like the sun and disappeared from the Hongmeng domain. In the distance, Zhou Qinglong, Yin Xian, and the others looked extremely pale and weak. They stared at the vast, immortal light until it completely disappeared. Only then did the 10 of them withdraw their gazes and head toward the palace that Chun Hao had left for them. The Galaxy Tunnel. Is this the Galaxy Tunnel? It's amazing. Master, there are two Galaxy Tunnels. Itoda, who had disappeared from the Grand Mist domain, exclaimed excitedly in his mind as he looked at the ancient path in front of him that seemed to connect the boundless galaxies. His body emitted the terrifying aura of a Grand Mist sovereign. Chi, a crystal light flashed between Itoda's eyebrows, and Chun Hao appeared in front of him. The Galaxy Tunnel. Is this the real Galaxy Tunnel? The 2 tunnels, which were tens of thousands of feet in diameter, were covered with mysterious and ancient runes. The pitch-black walls of the tunnels seemed to be formed by energy, but they also seemed to be made of a special material. They were covered with rune Tao marks and exuded an ancient aura. No one knew how long they had existed. Shocking. Nothing could describe the shock in Chun Hao and Itoda's hearts at this moment. At this moment, Chun Hao and Itoda both deeply felt their own insignificance, the endless galaxy and the thousands of sectors. What kind of existence could connect the 9 heavens and 10 lands and open up a tunnel that spanned the endless galaxy and existed for eternity. It was unimaginable. This path must lead to the great world of CND. This tunnel must lead to our ancient chaos boundless world, Ito-ta said excitedly as he sensed the aura of the two tunnels. The great world of CND. Chun-hao, who also began to sense the aura of the two tunnels, suddenly frowned slightly. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes as he murmured, "Master, what's wrong? Could it be Master wants to go to the great world of CND?" Ito-ta asked in surprise. At this moment, Chun-hao was staring at the passageway to the immortal sovereign great world. He seemed to be very excited, which confused Ito. Could it be? Chun-hao didn't seem to hear Ito-ta's question. His handsome face flashed with a touch of excitement, as if he had thought of something. Although the familiar aura of the galaxy tunnel leading to the great world of CND was very weak and couldn't be compared with the familiar aura of the ancient chaos boundless world, for Chun-hao, it was undoubtedly a huge surprise. No, the great world of CND welcomes any practitioners from the boundless world to enter. Chun-hao suddenly thought of a question and immediately looked at Ito-ta and asked, "What do you feel about this tunnel?" "Feel? It's a feeling of being summoned. I want to go there. However, it's not as strong as the galaxy tunnel in our ancient chaos boundless world. It's easy to distinguish." Ito-ta pondered for a moment. Although he didn't understand why Chun-hao asked, he still answered truthfully. "It seems that I thought too much." Chun-hao's excitement was dampened by Itota's words. He shook his head helplessly and said, "Let's go back." "Yes, master." The two of them stepped out and directly entered the galaxy tunnel leading to the ancient chaos boundless world. Chun-hao, who was a little disappointed, didn't know that Ito-ta's feeling was slightly different from his. However, this difference couldn't be expressed in words, and Chun-hao's feeling was too weak. Ancient chaos boundless world. Ancient chaos boundless world. Shifeng territory. In an area that was originally very remote and had relatively weak worldly energy, the entire space was now filled with a strong smell of blood. Blood, broken limbs, magic treasures, and broken bones could be seen everywhere. The terrifying law marks of Abijna still filled the entire space. Obviously, a great battle had just ended here. Interesting, very interesting. I'm looking forward to it more and more. An extremely young and handsome cultivator with an extremely majestic life force was holding a sword stained with blood. He licked the blood on the sword with a smile on his face as he said lightly, "Interesting, very interesting. I'm looking forward to it more and more." I feel the same way. It's only been 1,000 years, and we still have time to play with them. The 4 May members are here. Take it slow, little by little. F***CK. Take it slow. Can you hurry up? I want F***CK them. I can't help it. I also want to. When Chun-hao returns, I really want to know what kind of expression he will have when he sees that all his women have become our toys. Oh no, it should be the slaves of our soul slaves. I wonder what kind of expression he will have. I'm really looking forward to it. Don't think about it. Not to mention that he may have died. Even if he didn't, he must be lost in the chaotic space. Do you expect him to come back? However, it's really exciting to think about this feeling. He is known as the #1 genius in the ancient chaos boundless world. TSK, F***CK the women that he doesn't even want to F***CK. It's really something to look forward to. We haven't caught any of them. What's the use of talking nonsense? What's the hurry? All the areas in the 10-direction territory where the macro world imprint may appear have been sealed by the 8 galaxies. They can only comprehend the Hongmeng Qi at best, but we can condense the prototype of the macro world. It won't take long for the gap to widen. At that time, it'll be easy to find their traces, isn't it? The human race, not just the human race, but the vast universe galaxy. The young man licked the blood on his sword and frowned. Obviously, he was a human, but he was now a member of the tyrant race in the Chaos Galaxy. Oh, sorry. We have killed at least half of the cultivators in the vast universe galaxy, right? I think we should restrain ourselves. Otherwise, when we are almost ready, We won't be able to force them to show up. No need. Just continue to kill. Unless they're on our side, we'll kill them without mercy. They're just ants. The young man raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "That's not good, right? If we kill them all, the 10 Direction territory is so vast. Where can we find them? When I condense the prototype of the macro world, I will be able to deduce their whereabouts. None of them can escape. Play slowly. There's no need to rush," the young man said calmly. After finishing the second update yesterday, I knew there would be a problem today. Every time the plot changed, Dark Mountain would stop updating. Last night, I slept for 4 hours and then got up to think and write, delete. I'm done with the second update. Dark Mountain continued. 21 days. I can't die on 22 days. Please support me with monthly votes. Please, everyone. Chapter 1045. Do you see that? That's Chen Shui's blood. It's said that she's Chun Hao's favorite woman. Ha! Apart from Hu Meinyang's blood, I've got everything else. The bloodthirsty young man smiled faintly, but the coldness in his eyes made his partners tremble. Especially when they thought of this guy's terrifying strength, they felt a chill from the bottom of their hearts. Fortunately, they were partners and not enemies. This bloodthirsty young man was called Jin Long. 5,000 years ago, he was born in the tyrant's galaxy of chaos, the Jin family, one of the top tyrants. But 5,000 years ago, he seemed to have been hidden away by the Jin family. There was no information about him in the cultivation world, and even the direct descendants of the Jin family did not know of his existence. He became famous when he first appeared. At that time, he was already a mid-level elite of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. He challenged the top genius Daluo Jinxian and won. He challenged the top geniuses of the Galaxy of Chaos, whether they were the same realm or the peak late-stage Daluo Golden Wonderland, who were one level higher than him. He even defeated the geniuses of the perfection level. He had never tasted defeat until now. In just 3,000 years, he forged his reputation as the top person of the Daluo Golden Wonderland in the Tyrant's Galaxy of Chaos. Although the 4 main members of Proud Skies, Chen Nan, Li Yong, Chun Ling, and Coiling Dragon, had all fallen under the siege of the elites of the 8 major galaxies, Jin Long was the one who delivered the fatal blow. Chen Nan's body and soul had been destroyed. Li Yong and Chun Ling were almost completely destroyed. Even their immortal spirit bodies had collapsed. Only a wisp of their primordial spirits had luckily escaped with the help of a mysterious spirit cultivator's divine ability. Coiling Dragon's strongest physical body had collapsed, and his primordial spirit had luckily escaped and gone missing. This was the biggest gain from the first 3 perfect snipes in more than 1,000 years. After Coiling Dragon's primordial spirit had escaped, the Proud Skies members did not dare to split up again. This was also the main reason why they had not gained much until now. Brother Gene, the 10 Directions territory can shield the heavenly secrets. Are you sure you can divine it? The leader of the Sky Fiend clan in the 10 Directions territory asked in confusion. The Shifeng territory was different from the Hongmeng territory of the Boundless Universe. In the ancient chaos Great Thousand World, the 10 great galaxies were fighting for supremacy. Once they entered this public space, it would be the time for the 10 great galaxies to clash. Every galaxy would be led by the strongest cultivator who had entered the galaxy, and the one with the highest prestige would be the leader. This was no longer as simple as a cannibalistic old man. Compared to the Hongmeng domain of the chaotic boundless world, it was more than 100 times crueler. What? You don't believe me? Ahem. It's not that I don't believe you, but according to what I know, there is no ruler who could unify the 10 galaxies in our primordial chaos, and no one could connect the spatial barrier to the outside world. Hongmeng gas shields all heavenly secrets. Even if the art of divination is powerful, I'm afraid it won't work. The Sky Demon leader said, since there is no ruler who could unify the primordial chaos Great Thousand World, no one could connect the independent space of the 10 Directions territory to the outside world. It was precisely because of this that all information was blocked in the Ten Directions territory, and the heavenly secrets were obscured by the mysteries of Hongmeng gas, leaving everything in chaos. The art of divination was of no use at all. It could not compare to the primordial chaos at all. In the primordial chaos great thousand world, at least the ruler of the immortal scripture city was a supreme being who had the authority to connect the Hongmeng domain. Although he would not act rashly, at least his chi was connected to the outside world. On the other hand, the Ten Directions territory was absolutely independent. It was easy for cultivators below the Daluo Golden Wonderland to enter, but difficult to leave unless they had stepped into the Hongmeng realm. Of course, there were also special circumstances, like Xiao Feng, the ruler of the Wuji Star. What if it's the legendary Great Divination Art? I'm talking about the true Great Divination Art. The Golden Dragon said with a smile, raising an eyebrow. But the disdain contained in that smile made people not dare to look directly at him. The legendary Great Divination Art? The other 8 leaders all widened their eyes in horror. During this period, I'll rely on you all. I don't ask for credit. Just create crises for them from time to time. Guard the area where the Great World Imprint is born. Don't let them get it. If one of them gets it, they will definitely escape from here. I'll go into seclusion to refine the embryonic form of the Great World. I don't need to reach the peak. I just need to perfect the framework. At most, I'll be able to use the Great Divination Art in 100 years. Amazing. Brother Golden Dragon, you're really amazing. With your combat power, I think even if killing God Shunhao returns, his life will be trampled by you. What a pity. After a brief shock, the leader of the God clan flattered him. Work hard. It's fate that we can work together. The future of the primordial chaos Great Thousand World will eventually be our world. After being together for a long time, we must part, and after being separated for a long time, we must unite. It's been billions of years. Ha! Chi! The Golden Dragon's faint voice still drifted in everyone's ears, but his figure was as fast as a shooting star, disappearing into the depths of the Ten Directions territory. What a big ambition! F***CK. Why do I feel like I'm asking a tiger for its skin? Who isn't? Maybe he really has the ability. This person is too strong. No matter what, we're the strongest Daluo Jinxian in our respective galaxies, but compared to him, Tyrant Clan, Gene Family, Golden Dragon, Golden Scale Dragon. Maybe this is the meaning of his name. His words are undoubtedly to rope us in and make us submit. F***CK. What do you think? Let's take one step at a time. At least now we have the same goal. There won't be any problems. I'm not that ambitious. There's no such good thing in the world. If he wants to kill us here, we can't even escape. Don't forget, the blood he collected was not only from the members of the proud Heaven clan. F***CK. That's too insidious. F***CK. I thought he had a hobby of drinking blood. No wonder when I was injured, he wiped my blood and licked it. Everyone was terrified. It seemed that none of them were spared. There's no way back. If we follow him, we may have a brighter future. It's difficult to make a decision now, but we have to advance and retreat together. There's still a little bit of resistance. An existence who has mastered the great deduction art. Maybe he really saw something. The cultivator who said this was a monstrous genius of the God Clan's divine Dominion galaxy. His words made the monstrous geniuses of the other clans fall silent. They were the unruly number 1 monstrous geniuses and the leaders of the clans in the Ten Directions territory, who would be willing to be inferior to others. But now, the Golden Dragon's seemingly casual words before leaving had undoubtedly expressed his attitude. They had to consider it. Third update, seeking monthly votes. Please subscribe. Thank you. Chapter 1046. Ancient Chaos, Vast Universe Galaxy, in the deepest part of the Divine Palace. 4 figures sat cross-legged. The one sitting at the head was an ordinary old man. It was Elon. Unlike when he helped Shunhao over 10,000 years ago, at this moment, even though he was like an ordinary person, his face was flushed red, and his spirit was hale and hearty. The wrinkles that originally covered his face had vanished completely, and his skin had become fine like an infant's. Only his eyes that were filled with age, white hair, and white beard allowed others to know that he was an old man. His nirvana was complete. Opposite Yilan sat Chen Wuliang, who looked the same as he did 10,000 years ago. Beside Chen Wuliang were two true immortals, Han Mei and Xue Mei. True immortal Han Mei looked fine, but true immortal Xue Mei, the mother of Chun Nan and Chun Yin, looked a little sad. She seemed to have a lot on her mind. Brother Yi, why not? I'm a Tao-severing true immortal now. Although there's still a gap between you and me, it's not that big. I'm still young, aren't I? Wuliang, listen to me. Your son will come back on his own, and it won't take long. I have a feeling. Brother, I've told you that finding our son is just a side goal. After all, it's been 10,000 years. Tianci should be able to advance to Hongmeng by now. He might even be the supreme of Hongmeng. What if he goes to the great world of CND? It's dangerous there, so it's only right for me to go. If he comes back first, it'll be the best, and I won't have to worry about anything. As for me, I do want to go to the great world of CND. That old bastard from the Shao clan has already escaped, and you have really completed my nirvana. There's really nothing to worry about. I really don't want to be the controller anymore. Old brother, you have completed your nirvana, so it won't be a problem even if you continue to be the controller for millions of years. At most, I will come back and take over your position. I won't stop you from going to the depths of the chaotic space. It's fine if I'm a controller, but you can't go to the great world of CND. Yilan said with a serious expression. If it were someone else, I would only try to persuade them. But I can't let you throw your life away. Brother, do you think I'm one of those idiots? I can crush 8 or 10 of them with one hand. As a cultivator, especially a super genius like me, I haven't even been to the great world of CND. How can I be considered a cultivator? Brother, I made up my mind. I must go. Wu Yang, do you think you're very strong? Am I not strong enough? If I told you that I was 10 times stronger than you when I was your age, would you believe me? Ahem. Old bro, you can't brag like that. You won't be much stronger than me, even after I reach nirvana. When you were my age, you were only a Tao-severing true immortal. You were just a little bit younger. You probably weren't as strong as me, right? Yilan shook his head and sighed softly. Indeed, I won't be much stronger than you even after I reach nirvana. I can't even make myself believe it. How can I make you believe it? Since you insist on going, you have to promise me 3 things. First, cut off all your connections with the ancient chaos universe. I will erase all your imprints in the ancient chaos universe. Brother, then how can I come back? Aren't you chasing me away? If you can't do this, once you step into the great world of CND, you will definitely die. Listen to me. Second, when the Milky Way tunnel suddenly widens, immediately break out of the wall. Enter the great world of CND from the chaotic space by yourself. You can't enter directly from the Milky Way tunnel. Third, after entering the great world of CND, you can't tell anyone that you're a cultivator from the ancient chaos universe. Promise me these 3 things, and I'll let you go. Every 100,000 years, I'll wait for you in the chaotic space near the Milky Way tunnel. Every time, 10 years. Brother, are you hiding something from me? Yes. You can't tell me? No. I can only tell you that the great world of CND is a forbidden area for cultivators from the ancient chaos universe. Little Xian, that's all you can know. Promise me these 3 things, but don't do them. Go. Yilan mentioned Yi Xian and didn't say anything else. Chen Wuliang frowned for a moment, then finally said, I'll go. Once every 100,000 years. Just remember to pick me up. I don't want to go and never come back. Wuliang. At this moment, Xue Mei called out softly with a strange expression on her face. What's wrong? Go with sister. You two go over there to look for Tianci. I want to stay and wait. Also, for the past 1,000 years, I've been feeling uneasy. I think Nan and Yin, they'll come out in less than 10,000 years. I want to wait for them. Xue Mei, why are you still like this? They're all grown up. What's there to worry about? We've known about the little tricks the 9 galaxies are playing. They'll at most cause some trouble for the proud heavens members in the 10 square territory. They'll be fine. What are you worried about? I know, but I just want to see them. Don't worry about me. If you can find Tianci, whether you come back or not, I'll send him to the area elder Yi mentioned in 100,000 years. That's not right. When Shan Wuliang heard Xuan Mei's words, he suddenly thought of a very serious problem. He looked at Yilan and said, Brother, since the immortal emperor's great thousand world is a dangerous place for us, if Tianci enters it, won't he? After 10,000 years of prayer, the call of faith from billions of lives, your daughters, his brothers, and his friends, the chances of him going to the great world of CND are slim. After all, it's almost impossible for him to go to other worlds. The call of faith is the lighthouse that will guide him back. You don't have to worry. If he really enters the great world and ascends to the Hongmeng stage, I believe he'll choose to return to ancient chaos as soon as possible instead of going to the great world of CND. I see. I was wondering why you supported Proud Heaven so much. So there's a deeper meaning. Then I'm relieved. Xuanmei, you really don't want to go? I want to go with you, but I miss Tianci, Nan, and Yin more. Xuanmei said after some hesitation. She wanted to go, but inexplicable heartache and uneasiness made her insist on staying. Although she was now a true immortal of cutting path, she had never pursued the peak of martial arts. After 100 reincarnations, Chun Hao was her adopted son, and her 2 biological children were almost everything to her. Her only extravagant wish was to be reunited with her children. Watching them grow up was the happiest and most blissful thing. Chapter 1047. The 10 square territory shielded the mysteries of heaven. Once someone entered it, his or her aura would be isolated from the outside world. No one knew whether he or she was dead or alive. Xuanmei, who was connected to her son, and she missed her children so much that she had a mysterious feeling. Unfortunately, no matter if it was her, Chen Wuliang, Han Mei, or even Yilan, none of them expected that the members of Outyin would face such a cruel test because of one person's appearance in the 10 square territory. Of course, even if they knew, what could they do? Sometimes, having a high cultivation wasn't enough to solve the problem. In the ancient chaos world, where the 10 galaxies coexisted, no one could interfere with the 10 square territory. When Shun Wuliang and Han Mei quietly stepped into the space of the 10 square territory and directly opened the Star River Tunnel, like the ancient road of the starry sky. They didn't know that in another Star River Tunnel, Chun Hao and Edo Ta were coming to the ancient chaos world through the transmission of the Star River Tunnel. Chi. The 2 streamers sat cross-legged side by side, feeling the ever-changing space-time law and the ancient and mysterious aura in the Star River Tunnel. Time passed, but Chun Hao and Edo Ta didn't know how much time had passed. In the ever-changing space-time law, the only constant was the ancient aura of the Star River Tunnel. Master, you said that every great wide world has a space like the Hongmeng domain, and this space can directly connect 2 great wide worlds according to our aura. Does it mean that there is such a Star River Tunnel between every great wide world and another great wide world? It should be like this. In ancient times, the space similar to the Hongmeng domain should be like the star transmission formation, which has the ability to transmit to every great wide world. At that time, perhaps all the great wide worlds often came and went. Otherwise, no matter how powerful a person was, he wouldn't waste his divine sense to condense this ancient road of the starry sky, right? How powerful was the ancient times? Chen Hao seemed to be answering Itoda, but he also seemed to be thinking about it. A true immortal king was the highest realm that Chun Hao had ever seen. He was the controller of the immortal scripture city, or rather, the controller of the vast 1,000 chaotic worlds. He definitely had the ability to open up the Milky Way tunnel, but it was absolutely impossible for him to open up such a starry sky tunnel that spanned the endless Milky Way. Moreover, it had existed for countless years and remained intact. The more he thought about it, the more he realized, and the more insignificant he felt. The peak of martial arts was easier said than done. Chen Hao couldn't help but sigh lightly. But right after that, he was suddenly shocked, and his gaze became fierce and dazzling as he said, "So long as I'm moving forward on the path, no matter how difficult it is, I'll be able to accomplish it one day. Nothing can affect my Tao heart." Once he had made his choice and started, there was no turning back. I still have to avenge my brother. I still have to set foot on the great world of CND. I still have to search for Earth and find Yi Xian. Immortality and the pinnacle of martial arts are my obsessions. Boom. Due to the influence of the Star River Tunnel, Chun Hao was instantly annihilated. His spiritual altar blossomed with dazzling crystal light, untainted by even a speck of dust. "You're not affected?" Chun Hao looked at Ito Ta, who was looking at him with a little surprise, and said in surprise, "Master, I'm not as ambitious as you. I'm very satisfied with my current achievements. Now, my goal is very simple. I just want to follow you and try my best to keep up with your footsteps. I don't care how strong they are at all, as long as they don't get in the way of you, Master," Ito Ta said calmly. Ito Ta's words made Chun Hao slightly stunned. Then he smiled and said, "You're right, I'm thinking too much. It's okay to be far-sighted, but we can't bite off more than we can chew. As long as we have our own Tao, we can keep moving forward. Well, I'm going to meditate for a while." After saying that, Chun Hao slowly closed his eyes. He and Ito Ta didn't know how long it would take to reach the ancient chaos world in the Star River Tunnel. In the constantly changing space-time law, there was no specific concept of time. They could only feel the passage of time. In the 10 Directions territory, in an area where the heaven and earth spirit chi was relatively thin, there was a narrow cave at the bottom of a barren mountain. It was penetrated by the law of the divine ability, and an underground cave house was excavated. In one of the independent caves at this moment, all the women gathered together. They looked at Chun Shui, who was sitting cross-legged with a painful expression on her face, and Mei-Yang, who was frowning and pondering in front of her. "Sister Shui, it's all my fault." Xia Yu saw that Mei-Yang stopped channeling energy and showed an expression and immediately cried bitterly. "Why are you crying?" "I'm fine. It's just a little physical injury. You all go and heal your injuries and cultivate. Don't worry about me. I know what I'm doing." Chun Shui's expression was calm. Although she was a woman at this moment, her face was as cold as when she was Lung Yihan. The broken arm was surrounded by a kind of dark blue rune, which was filled with an evil and mysterious pressure. It looked shocking and emitted a foul smell. If one observed carefully, it was still corroding and spreading upward at an extremely slow speed. It was as if a mortal had been poisoned by some kind of deadly poison. However, Chun Shui was already in the great circle of the Daluo Jinxian realm, and she also had half a Xiantian Dao embryo. "Sister Hu, even you can't do anything?" Chun Yan's eyes were filled with tears, and her face was covered in blood. She stared at Mei-Yang, who was also in a sorry state and had long lost her former glory, and asked with a sobbing tone, "This is a kind of ultimate divine ability that surpasses the Grand Luo realm, and even surpasses the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. That golden dragon, how can it be so strong?" Mei-Yang gritted her teeth, and her voice was filled with shock, confusion, and anger. When the women heard Mei-Yang's words, they were all shocked and looked at Chun Shui with worry. "Then what do we do? There's no other way. Unless we crack the mystery of his Tao mark and force it out, even if we cut off the entire arm, we won't be able to cut off the Tao mark, and it will only accelerate the corrosion of the body. Little Shui, if it hurts, just scream. Don't hold it in. I can still hold it in. Mei-Yang, I told you not to worry about me. Quickly recover and cultivate. If we stay here, it won't be long before they find us again. All of you get out." Chun Shui said coldly. "Little Shui, you only have half a month. If the corrosion reaches your brain, you can only abandon your body. I'm sorry, but I can't listen to you this time. Little Wu, Little Yin, Huan Lele, Little Yin, Ning Bing, all of you leave. I want to try." Mei-Yang, Chun Shui said angrily. "It's useless to call me that. You're already half a Xiantian Dao embryo. If you abandon this body, you'll never be able to become a Xiantian Dao embryo again. You'll never be able to surpass me. Although the chances are slim, I won't feel at ease if I don't try." Chi. Hu Meinyang pointed a finger. An endless immortal light and Tao laws surrounded Qin Shui. Sister Hu, you must comprehend it. You must save Sister Shui. I'll do my best. Chi. At this moment, the enraged Chen Shui and the other women were shocked to see Hu Meinyang directly cut off her own arm. Moreover, it was the same length as Qin Shui's arm. Then, amidst the screams of the other women and Chen Shui's violent struggle, her arm came into contact with Chen Shui's severed arm. Fifth update, begging for monthly votes. Please subscribe, and I implore everyone to support the original version. Please. Chapter 1048. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the dark green runes suddenly blossomed with dark green rays of light. At the place where Hu Meinyang and Chen Shui's severed arm came into contact, black smoke and a strong stench were emitted. Hu Meinyang couldn't help but cry out in pain. She bit her lip so hard that it bled. Why do you have to do this? Chen Shui stared at Hu Meinyang. This kind of pain, you can even bear it. Hu Meinyang, who was already haggard to begin with, now had cold sweat beading on her forehead. Her face had turned deathly pale, and her delicate body was trembling slightly. It was obvious that the pain she was enduring had almost reached her limit. This made her even more shocked at Chen Shui's tenacious nerves. Only by personally experiencing it can I better grasp the mysteries within it. I have an innate Tao embryo, and my body has become an artifact. This Tao mark can't hurt me. Whoosh! As soon as Hu Meinyang finished speaking, the Tao mark that had spread to her arm suddenly showed signs of retreating. However, she only forced it for a moment before she retracted her immortal aura. Then, she looked at the other women and said, "All of you go out and cultivate. How is it?" As soon as the women stepped out of the cave, Du Jing, Lan Feng, and a few of the remaining proud heaven members asked anxiously, "What happened?" "There's no other way. We can only comprehend its mysteries. Meinyang will try to comprehend it with Sister Shui. We only have 15 days. Bam. Du Jing punched the stone wall. His eyes were bloodshot. He howled in pain in his heart. Boss. Boss. I'm useless. Useless. Oh. Bam. 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 Du Jing didn't use any energy. He didn't even have the strength of his body. Blood splattered everywhere. Brother Du. Lan Feng stopped Du Jing and shouted with bloodshot eyes. Du Jing didn't struggle anymore. He closed his eyes in pain. He was powerless, deeply powerless, and in endless pain. He had always been resourceful and had never lost his cool. However, at this moment, he suppressed the pain in his heart. Sisters-in-law, all of you go back to the cave to recover. Lan Feng, you go too. And all of you, good brothers and sisters, go too. I want to be alone for a while. After Du Jing finished speaking, he got up and walked out of the cave residence. Brother Du, what are you doing? Lan Feng rushed to the front and asked. I'm not a simple-minded coiling dragon. What else can I do? I'm not stupid enough to risk my life. I just want to be alone. It won't be long before they find this place. I still have to fight and lead everyone to escape. I'm his boss. I want to be alone. Go. Du Jing reached out and pushed Lan Feng aside. His expression was solemn, but he calmly walked out of the immortal's cave. After reaching a place not far from the cave entrance, he sat down cross-legged and stared blankly at the endless night sky. After everyone was sure that Du Jing wouldn't do anything rash, they returned to their individual caves one by one and began to recover with all their might. How long could they remain calm after the endless pursuit and battle? In these 1,000 years, they had been busy running for their lives. Boss, in the next life, Du Jing, will be your brother again. This dense golden light suddenly gushed out from between Du Jing's eyebrows. It was wrapped in a cloud of black fog and didn't cause any fluctuations. In the black fog, like fireflies, tens of millions of poisonous insects circled and fluttered, flying toward the depths of the Shifeng territory at an amazing speed. Du Jing, who was staring blankly at the night sky, was still fine, and his body was still surging with Dharma power. No one knew that at this moment, only Du Jing's body was left. His primordial spirit, essence blood, and essence chi were all integrated into the tens of millions of poisonous insects. In an instant, they traveled tens of millions of miles. When the densely packed poisonous insects flew several billion miles away, the black fog dispersed and gradually formed a human figure. At first, it made one's scalp tingle, but in an instant, it turned into a body that was exactly the same as Du Jing's. However, his eyes were bloodshot, crazed, and bloodthirsty. The ultimate mystery of the Poison King Valley, sacrificing body to become demon. Sacrificing one's soul, essence blood, and essence chi completely to the poisonous insects that parasitized one's soul in exchange for heaven-defying strength, and complete the only obsession before sacrificing one's life. Once it was used, no one could stop it. Chun'an's body and soul were destroyed. Chunling and Li Yang's immortal spirit bodies collapsed, and their souls were missing. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. His good brother, Pan Long, who had competed with him for tens of thousands of years, had his strongest body collapsed, and his primordial spirit escaped. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Now, Chun Shui's sister-in-law, who was also the most important among Boss's women, only had 15 days before her body collapsed. Du Jing, who had always been calm, couldn't bear it anymore. He knew that all of them had embarked on a dead end. Death was approaching. There was no way out. In this case, it was better to die quickly. Perhaps it could buy some time and a glimmer of hope for the others. Brother Du. What Du Jing didn't know was that a figure who seemed to have entered a state of cultivation had tears gushing out of her eyes when he transformed into a poisonous insect and left. She forced herself not to cry out loud, restrained her aura, and quickly chased after him. She was the first core member to join Proud Heaven and also a member who had followed Du Jing and the others into the Ten Directions territory. In the primitive mystic realm, she was the girl who had been gifted an ancient divine weapon by Chun. How? Because of kindness. Her name was Lin Xia. The person who truly understood you would always be the one who loved you the most. Your every move, every word, every smile, she's watching you at all times. Lan Feng and the other girls couldn't do that. However, after tens of thousands of years of being together, Lin Xia had long fallen in love with the resourceful and powerful Du Jing. When Du Jing said those words and stepped out of the cave, in a daze, she sensed something. However, she didn't stop him. She also knew that she couldn't stop him. Then, she would accompany him. Proud Heaven's poisonous hand, Du Jing. 3 days later, near an area where a great world imprint could be born, someone among the cultivators who had sealed off the entire area by the 9 galaxies exclaimed, "Buzz!" Immediately, countless figures were drowned by endless poisonous insects. Wherever they passed, only eerie white bones were left. The number of poisonous insects increased, and the aura of each insect became stronger. Soon after, countless cultivators began to attack furiously. Every moment, countless venomous bugs died. However, under the control of the venomous bug king, more and stronger venomous bugs were born every moment. Devour. All the cultivators who were surrounded by poisonous insects screamed miserably. Their souls, essence blood, vital essence, and bodies were devoured completely, leaving only eerie white bones. Such a horrifying and evil scene sent chills down the spines of the cultivators in the 9 galaxies. When the poisonous insects increased in number and strength, these cultivators who were scared out of their wits all chose to avoid them. They spread the news as fast as they could. Chapter 1049. In the distance, Lin Xia was hidden in the void. Her tears were like a broken string of pearls, silently and unceasingly sliding down her face. Sister Xiao Xia, let me tell you, you're much stronger than Coiling Dragon. Even if you're twice as strong as him, you'll have to die with me if you want to kill me. Not to mention him. Come on, stop bragging. Who would believe you? You're always beaten up by Brother Pan, and you're still so stubborn. Sister, this is what you don't understand, right? I'm the successor of the Valley Master of the Poison King Valley. If I don't use poison to fight him, how can I not be weak? Let me tell you, As long as I use the ultimate skill of the Sutra of the Poison King, I'll turn into a demon. Then, all the experts in the same realm will have to die with me. That's a bit exaggerated. Boss might be an exception. Keep bragging. I didn't say you couldn't do it. You're already very strong. You don't have to brag so hard, all right? Too bad I can't perform for you. Otherwise, you'll know that I'm not bragging. Sacrificing oneself to become a demon. That is to offer one's soul, essence blood, essence energy, and spirit to my treasures. Once I use it, I will be finished. Of course, my opponents will also be finished. After completing my final wish, my treasures will disappear from the world. Big brother, I will enter the cycle of reincarnation. If you don't believe me, then forget it. In short, you just need to know that Big Brother is very strong. At least much stronger than that big guy. All right, I believe you, okay? You can use it. Lin Xia recalled what Du Jing had said when she had asked Coiling Dragon for guidance and asked him to spar with her. She knew that he liked her. It was just that both of them had a tacit understanding and never revealed it. She never thought that today he would finally use the ultimate skill of the Sutra of the Poison King that she hoped he would never use in his life. That night, 3,864 cultivators from the 9 galaxies had died. All of them had turned into skeletons. That night, in addition to the strongest leader of the tyrants, the Golden Dragon, the leaders of the other 8 galaxies rushed over. They joined forces and used their strongest supernatural powers to destroy the poisonous Bug King. Millions of poisonous bugs gathered and turned into flames that covered thousands of miles. When the flames appeared, countless cultivators from dozens of galaxies saw a girl burning her soul. Like a moth darting into a flame, she screamed, "Brother Du," from afar and merged into the endless flames. That night, Du Jing, the military advisor of Ao Yin, and Lin Xia, the core female warrior, both died. The next day, under the gray sky, Lan Feng, the women, and Proud Heaven's remaining generals stared at the spot where Du Jing had been sitting cross-legged and turned to ash and wept. A stone was engraved with Lin Xia's last words. "I will accompany him into the cycle of reincarnation." Before Du Jing's corporeal body turned to ashes, he left behind his final words, "Sacrificing myself to become a demon, I don't know the effects. Perseverance might not be the end of the road. Enter the cycle of reincarnation again. Don't miss me. My master will definitely be able to find him. I'm ashamed to face boss. I hope you won't abandon us, and we can meet again in the next life. Du Jing." Fight. Isn't it just death? Brother Du, Brother Pan, Lan Feng will accompany. Shut up. Whoosh. Even as Blue Peak howled with rage, tears streaming down his face, majestic primal chaos, immortal light poured down from above. Is it not enough? Hellion Wuzi, who was as cold as the moon, had chosen this life after awakening the endless cycle of reincarnation. In front of the women and Proud Heaven, her strength was undoubtedly the strongest, but she rarely spoke. But at this moment, her cold and beautiful face, which was covered in tears, shone with coldness and stopped the frenzied Lan Feng. At the center of the women, Chen Shui was healing, and the powerful Main Yang was helping her. At this moment, only Hellion Wuzi, who had awakened the cycle of reincarnation, could intimidate Lan Feng. She intimidated not only Lan Feng, but also everyone present. Tantai Lien, the beautiful sisters, Chun Yin, and Long Ting, whose physical auras had suddenly reached an unimaginable realm, were all about to go all out. She had no choice but to step in. Du Jing sacrificed himself just to let us go all out and die. He's buying time for us. Buying time. Everything. Wait for Sister Shui and Main Yang to come out. No one is allowed to act recklessly. Hellion Wuzi said sternly. Endless chaotic immortal light enveloped everyone. I also want to go all out. But is there any point in rushing out like this? Little Lien, Yi Huan, Lele, do you remember what House said to us when we were in a life and death situation on the Wuji planet? Don't give up until the last moment. They don't know, but have you forgotten? Little Wu, we still have hope. Even if we can't get the Great World Mark, there's still hope. We still have a lot of skills that we haven't cultivated to the peak. Every time we run, we can still get a short time to catch our breath. What we should do is to endure. Cultivate. If you still want to die, then go ahead. Whoosh! After Hellion Woozy finished speaking, she turned into a stream of light and flashed into the cave abode. Plop! Lan Feng knelt on the ground in pain and crawled down. Boss! Boo-hoo-hoo! Where are you? Where are you? Dead. Brothers are all dead. Little Nan is dead. Brother Pan is dead. Brother Du is dead. Ling Brother Yang are dead. Countless brothers and sisters of Ao Tian are dead. Dead. Boo-hoo-hoo. Boss. I want to die. Boo-hoo-hoo. Didn't you call me the son of luck? Boss. Come back. It's been 10,000 years. Come back. Come back and prove that I'm the son of luck, the star of misfortune, or the son of incompetence. Boo-hoo. Boss. If I don't die this time, you're still my boss. If I die in my next life, I don't want to be your brother anymore. No, don't. I don't want to be in so much pain. I don't want to lose brothers. I'd rather be incompetent. I'd rather not have any achievements. I'd rather not have any brothers. Boo-hoo-hoo. Lan Feng, a 7-foot man, was crying so hard that it shook the heavens and the earth. He wept bitterly and choked with sobs. This caused the girls and everyone present to start sobbing. Where are you? Where are you? Everyone was crying and asking questions in their minds. It's been 10,000 years. Where are you? Dead end, desperate situation, no hope, no chance of survival. All they saw was their brothers and sisters leaving one by one. The only thing they could think of was Chun Hao, who seemed to be omnipotent and created miracles time and time again. It wasn't that they were weak. It wasn't that they were cowards. It was that the enemy was too strong. Second update. Crying bitterly. Woo, can you give me a monthly ticket? Chapter 1050. The 9 galaxies had joined forces and covered the entire 10 Directions territory. Countless monstrous experts had besieged them, and one of them could use an ultimate divine ability that was countless times stronger than a Grand Luo. How could they resist? It was already a miracle that they could survive for more than 1,000 years in such a difficult environment. Little Hui, I'm in so much pain. So sad. What's wrong? You're crying. Is our brothers and sisters are dead. Dead as my women brothers. So sad. I'm so sad. Don't be afraid. Chun Hao, don't be afraid. Everything will be fine. Feel it carefully. The laws of time and space are changing rapidly. You must be traveling quickly, so fast. You must be on the way to save them. I want to wake up. You will wake up. You will become the real you. This is the divine ability you've cultivated. It's not mature yet. How much longer? I want to wake up immediately. I can't take it anymore. It hurts. It was the sound of faith and prayer that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It was the sound of lovers and brothers and sisters who couldn't see any hope or future. They walked in despair and kowtowed to the heavens after 10,000 years. Hesitation, helplessness, the only sustenance in the darkness. Pain, the second life couldn't bear it. Heartache, the pain of dripping blood. Don't worry, if you don't wake up after a while, I will wake you up. After a while, I will be able to control this world. It won't be long. As long as I control this world, I will be able to talk to the real you. As long as they're not completely dead, I might be able to save them. Little Hui, are you serious? You're comforting me, right? The dead can't be revived. That's the destruction of body and soul. I know this. I'm serious. I seem to have that ability. I know how to do it, but I haven't done it yet. Little nurse Lu Hui's divine sense was in Chun Hao's second anima, comforting Chun Hao, who was on the verge of going crazy from the intense stimulation. As her cultivation base advanced by leaps and bounds, little nurse Lu Hui began to awaken more and more memories that did not belong to her. or rather, they belonged to her in the first place. It had only been 100 years since she entered Chun Hao's mind world, but she had already reached the heaven immortal realm. Such heaven-defying speed was truly shocking. Nirvana space, spirit of all things, that was a legendary existence. Master, what happened to you? In the Milky Way tunnel, Itoda, who was sitting quietly and moving forward quickly under the mysterious ancient aura, saw Chun Hao suddenly open his eyes. His expression was calm, but he seemed to be bursting into tears. He couldn't help but ask in a trembling voice. I don't know, crack. Chun Hao clenched his fists tightly. His eyes were like two sharp swords, as if he wanted to see through the Star River tunnel. I hope it's not too late. Loosening his fists, Chun Hao closed his eyes again, allowing the tears to roll down his cheeks uncontrollably. Tears fell. Even though Chun Hao didn't know what was going on, and he didn't dare to open the space where all the faith was placed in his mind, he knew that something big must have happened with this telepathy that couldn't be isolated. He did not dare to investigate, for fear that he would go crazy and lose all reason. Even though he knew that the faith obtained by the second anima was only a transmission of emotions, and it might not be able to receive specific information, the grief brought about by the telepathy was enough to prove that a tragedy was unfolding, and it was more intense than ever before. The death of his younger brother, Chun Nan, had caused him to be immersed in a state of madness for hundreds of years, close to 1,000 years. Even though he had tempered his state of mind to be even more resilient, he was afraid that he would not be able to bear it. It should be soon. When Senior Zhua found us, it only took a few years to return to the vast 1,000 chaotic worlds. Those are the traces left behind by the Star River Tunnel, and certainly cannot be compared to the ancient Star River Tunnel. We have been flying in the chaotic space for tens of thousands of years. Compared to the ancient Star River Tunnel, perhaps it would only take a moment to cross it. Master, it will be fine. You don't have to worry too much. I hope so. Chun Hao tried his best to suppress his emotions and said calmly, but the uneasiness in his heart was growing stronger and stronger. What had happened? With their abilities, how could they have fallen into such a dangerous situation, even in a space similar to the Hongmeng domain? Chun Hao was anxious to return home, and he was extremely anxious. He was unable to calm down and comprehend the aura of the stellar river passageway any longer, and he was like an ant on a hot pan that was suffering, and he hoped to be able to go faster, even faster. In the depths of the 10 Directions domain, in a mountain range where the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was extremely dense, a figure sat cross-legged. His body surged with a majestic and terrifying pressure, surrounded by immortal light and Tao laws. The space within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles had become a forbidden zone for other cultivators. No one dared to take a step forward. The Golden Dragon, the leader of the Tyrant's chaotic galaxy, was also the supreme leader of the coalition forces of the 9 galaxies in the 10 Direction domain. The terrifying strength he had displayed had exceeded everyone's understanding, especially the cultivators of the Tyrant's chaotic galaxy, who worshipped him like a god. The Golden Dragon, who appeared out of nowhere 5,000 years ago, was like an ancient true dragon lurking in the chaotic galaxy. As soon as he appeared, his name shook the world. He challenged everyone along the way, and no one could compete with him. He was known as a peerless genius in the chaotic galaxy, and even in the entire ancient chaos universe. His fate, cohesion, and influence in the chaotic galaxy were much stronger than that of the god of slaughter Chun Hao in the vast universe galaxy. This was because before the god of slaughter Chun Hao collapsed, he was only a celestial immortal. Now, the Golden Dragon was Daluo Jinxian at the complete realm. This was the concept of 2 different realms. It's only been 5 days. Who in the entire ancient chaos can compare to the old man's talent? Ha! Chi! Suddenly, a bright light bloomed between the Golden Dragon's eyebrows. At this moment, the thick spiritual energy of heaven and earth suddenly began to gather between the Golden Dragon's eyebrows, condensing the prototype of the macro world. There was no doubt that in just a few days, he had finished refining and fusing the brand of the macro world. He began to devour the energy and condense the prototype of the macro world in his mind. No one knew that the golden dragon had done all of this with ease. He had already decided on what the prototype of the macro world would look like. If it wasn't for the inevitable delay of refining the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, it wouldn't have taken long for him to refine the prototype of the macro world in his mind to its most perfect state. In the cave residence, a few days had passed, and it had become quiet. In a desperate situation, one could only work hard if they didn't accept their fate. No matter how great the sorrow was, they could only turn the sorrow into motivation and fight against the heavens for a chance of survival. Third update, begging for monthly votes. Dark Mountain continues. Please have a little more patience, don't rush. The goddess Slaughter Chun, How will be back soon. Lu Hui, the soul of all creatures. Everything will be fine. Chapter 1051. Even if the hope was slim, even if everything might be in vain, but they couldn't give up. If they gave up, how could there be any hope? Just as Chun Hao had said to them many times, they couldn't give up until the last moment. When the 15th day was about to arrive, they all woke up from their cultivation and silently came to Qin Shui, in whom Mainyang's cave abode. 15 days. Whether or not Qin Shui could keep her body would be revealed today. Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, Xia Yu, Lung Ninghuan, Lung Ningle, Chun Yin, and Bailey Ningbing all had solemn expressions and nervous hearts. Lan Feng and the other core members of Proud Heaven waited patiently. Over the past few days, Lan Feng had changed a lot. He hadn't become stronger, but rather, he had become numb and fearless because of the pain he had endured. He was fearless of death. Everyone knew and could see that if a battle broke out, he would definitely fight with his life on the line. Qi. As everyone waited anxiously in Chun Shui, in whom Mainyang's cave abode, ripples finally came from the entrance. Chi Chi Chi. Helian Wuzi and the other girls felt the ripples of the opening of the barrier, and suddenly rushed in. The moment they entered, the girls all cried out in shock. They all looked at Qin Shui in shock, their scalps going numb as they stood in a daze. Voila! A Taoist robe and a bamboo hat, along with the ripples of energy, poured down and directly wrapped Chun Shui's body and face tightly. Even her eyes were covered. I'm sorry. I tried my best. Give me some more time. Maybe I can fully comprehend, Hu Mainyang said weakly. Her face was pale, and her severed arm had yet to grow back. It's already very good that you can do this. At least my body hasn't collapsed. Mainyang, thank you. Qin Shui's voice was condensed from true Yuan and not from her mouth. Sister Shui, am I ugly? Chun Shui, who had completely enveloped herself and was obviously a body that was surging with true essence, said in a serious voice. No, Sister Shui, you're the most beautiful. As long as your soul isn't destroyed, your body won't collapse. When we get out, Father will be able to deal with it with a wave of his hand. Chun Yin said as she held Chun Shui's sleeve. That's right. We'll get out. There's still hope. There's definitely hope. We can't give up until the very last moment. Chun Shui said solemnly. When the girls heard her words, they all felt ashamed in their hearts. In such a dangerous situation where even her physical body had become neither human nor ghost, and only the center of her brow was intact, she was still able to say what Chun Hao had said when she was in a life and death situation. Her calmness and wisdom were indeed not something they could compare to. Perhaps this was the real reason why Chun Hao had intentionally or unintentionally made her the core of the group, and also the real reason why the other girls had automatically made her the core of the group. Where's Du Jing? Where is Lin Xia? Suddenly, Qin Shui asked once more. Her condensed voice carried a trace of coldness and urgency. Obviously, in this instant, she had sensed the situation outside. Everyone's expression changed as they lowered their heads in pain. Sacrificing oneself to become a demon. Is that right? Hu Mainyang's face was also shocked, her eyes suddenly blooming with a bright light as she swept her gaze over everyone. She knew the secrets of all the top sects in vast universe galaxy. Now that Du Jing had disappeared, Everyone's expressions made her think of what Du Jing might have done. Yes, Big Brother Du went. Sister Lin Xia followed him. The air seemed to freeze as it instantly became eerily quiet. Sister-in-law, Lan Feng, and the other members of Proud Heaven stepped into the cave mansion and broke the silence. How are you? I'm fine. Take care of yourselves. Don't make any more unnecessary sacrifices. Hu Meinyang took a deep breath and said, I'll go inquire about the news. Meinyang, wait. I'll go, you stay. With you here, everyone will be safer. I'm strongest when it comes to heart cultivation methods that integrate with all things in the world. I don't have any combat strength left, so I'll be the one to inquire about the news. Remember, don't split up again. No matter what you do, you must act together. Little Shui hiss. Not allowing Hu Meinyang to say anything else, Chen Shui suddenly turned into an imperceptible breeze and disappeared in front of everyone. Meinyang, I can only tell you this. I can't implicate everyone. Don't worry about me. I'll be able to last longer if I leave. Once I comprehend this down mark and recover my strength, I'll look for you. Don't let anyone look for me. You know what I'm doing is for the best. Little Shui. Hu Meinyang suddenly received Chen Shui's sound transmission and her expression changed. She shouted out loud, her chest heaving up and down as she painfully closed her eyes. Powerlessness, a deep sense of powerlessness emerged in her heart. She, who had a connate Tao embryo, had never been in such a difficult situation before. She knew what Chen Shui had done was right. If Chen Shui left with her heart cultivation method, it would be difficult for anyone to lock onto her. But without her, how could she control the terrifying Tao mark that was spreading towards her spiritual altar? Life sacrification. She knew that Chen Shui's so-called comprehension was impossible. It was a Tao mark that completely surpassed one's realm and had a clear aura of one's realm. By her side, she could still rely on the brand of her connate Tao embryo to stop the invasion of her spiritual altar. Every once in a while, she would have to refine it again. If she left, Chen Shui would have at most 2 months left, or even less, before her physical body would completely collapse and only her nascent spirit would be left. She knew that Chen Shui would end up like Coiling Dragon, Chun Ling, and Liang. Her fate unknown, she would never come back and burden everyone. From now on, we won't search for information. I'll seal off this cave abode. Cultivate. All we can do is cultivate. As for the fate of the human cultivators, we'll talk about it when we have the ability to take revenge. Sister whose sister Shui isn't. She won't come back, just like Coiling Dragon, Linger, and Liang. What? No one is allowed to look for her. Even if little Shui is only left with her nascent spirit, she'll be safe with her concealment technique. She doesn't want to be a burden to us. This is the best outcome. Before we're found again, none of us are allowed to leave. Shik, with a wave of her hand, Hu Meinyang cast a divine ability and covered up the area within a circumference of 100 miles. Unless someone stepped into this area, they would not be able to sense any ripples from the outside. What was pain? When pain numbed one, tears would no longer flow. No one made a sound. All of them quietly returned to their cave abodes and began to cultivate. They suppressed the boundless pain and injuries in the depths of their hearts and cultivated madly, forgetting about themselves. They were preparing for the fierce battle that would descend at any moment. Perhaps more people would die, and the number of brothers and sisters by their side would decrease. Night enveloped the land. When would dawn arrive? No one knew. The 4th update is in the next chapter. Dark Mountain continues. Chapter 1052. Master, the passage is getting wider. It's getting wider. We're almost there. In the Star Ancient Road, in the Star River Tunnel, Itoda suddenly shouted excitedly, and with a swish, he jumped up from the cross-legged state. Are we almost there? Chun Hao's pitch-black eyes suddenly opened as he took a deep breath. We're finally here. Buzz. With Chun Hao's voice, an overwhelming murderous aura burst out from his glabella. Endless pressure swept through the endless Milky Way tunnel in an instant. Itoda was waiting anxiously, and his heart was bleeding. Since he sensed Xiao Nan's death, he had been suppressing the murderous intent deep in his heart. At this time, he could no longer suppress it and burst out. Blood debt. No matter who you are, I will make you pay back thousands of times. Up to the sky and down to the underworld, one man with one sword. The terrifying will, the monstrous pressure, the fierce and violent murderous aura, and the bone-chilling voice made Itoda, who had advanced to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, feel great pressure. But at the same time, Itoda's blood was burning with his master, Chun Hao. Kill. Itoda was sure that this world would be set off again because of his master's return. When the god of killing returned, the world would shake. Master, I want to kill with you. Itoda's body trembled violently because of excitement. He knew very well how painful his master had been for the past 10,000 years, especially after he sensed Xiao Nan's death, and how hard he had been suppressing his emotions. He had followed his master all the way until now. Chun Hao was his everything. Even if he died, he would not have any regrets. Chun Hao's achievements had far exceeded his expectations. Now, seeing his master's violent aura, as if he was possessed by the god of killing again, he was so excited that his blood was boiling. Good. As long as you can, Chun Hao replied in a deep voice. Chun Hao was undoubtedly happy to see that he could bring Itoda in. At this moment, Itoda was already in the Hongmeng realm. He had the 5 mythological beasts as one. Once he burst out, even Chun Hao, who was abnormal, was not much stronger than Itoda under the difference in realm. Now, when Itoda was in the Daoyuo Jingxian realm, he was already a genius comparable to Zhou Qinglong and the other top 9 geniuses. Now that he had advanced to the Hongmeng realm, he was not an ordinary Hongmeng supremacy realm. However, even if Chun Hao used his but to think, he knew that it was impossible for Edo Tai Chi to appear in a space similar to the Hongmeng domain. Even if Itoda entered his mind and stepped in with him, he would definitely be ejected the moment he came out. That was the Grand Mist Domain's supreme heavenly Tao law, and no one could violate it. At least it was not something Chun. Itoda was suddenly. After a moment of silence, he said, Master, it's better if I enter your mind. At the very least, I can watch. What's the use of watching? Go back to the vast universe galaxy and report your safety to the Holy Palace. Wait for us to come out. Master, hiss, 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 hiss. While talking, Chun Hao and Itoda arrived at the end of the Star River Tunnel. A round door appeared in front of them. It was emitting a milky white light and an ancient, mysterious aura. Chun Hao and Itoda did not know what was going out. They also did not know how to enter the 10 Directions domain. They were sent to the Hongmeng domain. Therefore, the moment Chun Hao stepped into the light door, his figure suddenly changed, and he forcefully restrained his aura. Buzz. Hiss, 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 hiss. Time and space distorted. Chun Hao and Itoda did not expect that they would appear in a place similar to the time when Itoda and Chun Hao stepped into the Star River Tunnel together. It was like a fork in the road. One entrance was obviously leading to the immortal Emperor's Great Thousand World, and the other was only a short section. One could see the end of it with the naked eye. Obviously, it was leading to the ancient chaos Great Thousand World. Edo Tai only saw 2. However, Chun Hao saw another entrance. It was also a short one. It was also a light door. However, it exuded the mysterious aura of Hongmeng Qi. Master, what are you doing? Itoda asked when he saw Chun Hao walking towards the barrier of the Star River Tunnel. This is the entrance to the Hongmeng domain. Can't you see it? Master, I can't see. It seems that I can't go in with Master. We don't know what's going on outside. Be careful. For the time being, don't tell my parents about Xiao Nan and what might happen. Just tell them that I'm going to break through the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. Chun Hao instructed. Having stayed in the Primordial Mist domain, he had long understood that the Primordial Mist domain was an existence that shielded all heavenly secrets. Even the controller of the Immortal Scripture City had to make a big fuss if he wanted to understand the situation inside and use supreme divine abilities to summon cultivators out. Otherwise, he would not have asked the disciples who entered the Hongming domain to bring the news to the 9 great monsters. This was one of the reasons why Chun Hao was sure that Chun Nan and the others were in the Shifeng domain. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Chun Nan, the son of the ruler, to die in the vast universe galaxy. Yes, Master, go. Chun Hao waved his hand and turned to walk towards the light door that Itoda could not see. The moment he entered, Chun Hao's footsteps paused slightly. His aura suddenly changed to that of a Protoss cultivator. It was the bloodline aura of the Protoss genius Lu Qianye in the primitive secret realm. Buzz. There was a faint, ancient, and mysterious fluctuation in the space, and Chun Hao disappeared from Itoda's sight. Master can still remain calm. Unfortunately, I can't follow. Itoda took a deep breath and turned to the passage back to the ancient chaos vast thousand world. Huh? What? When Itoda stepped out of the light door, the vast thousand world's spiritual chi was thin, but the intoxicating fresh air made Itoda slightly intoxicated. The vast thousand world. It had been more than 10,000 years. He had not enjoyed such a real intoxicating feeling for more than 10,000 years. But what made Itoda frown slightly was that the moment he appeared, he saw dozens of human clan elders whose auras were obviously from the Grand Mist Supremacy realm. What made him even more puzzled was that these elders all exclaimed when they saw him come out. What was even stranger was that one of the elders looked at him. In addition to surprise, there was also strong excitement and extremely complicated emotions that Itoda could not understand at all. Guan, my disciple, it's you. Is it really you? Guan. Itoda's expression changed slightly. Is he Guan master, the original ruler of the Yang Star, Yin Baitian? Why is this old guy here? Damn it. Itoda cursed in his heart. Because of this old guy, his master had been suppressed for a long time. Qin Shui, the other mistresses, and Lord Yuanru had been put under house arrest for 10 years. Later, this guy mysteriously disappeared. Needless to say, it was secretly done by his master's father. How could he not be killed and still appear here? 5th update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1053. Itoda looked at the old man who rushed in front of him and wanted to kick him away, but he held back in the end. You've got the wrong person. Yes, I can't be wrong, the aura of your body. Yin Baitian suddenly thought of something at this point, and his voice came to an abrupt halt. He shook his head and sighed. Guan is already dead. You have taken over his body, right? Yes. Why? Do you want to take revenge? Itoda raised his eyebrows and said proudly. His aura soared violently. Although there were dozens of old men present, and they were all masters of the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, Itoda was not afraid at all. What a strong aura. Yin Baitian stepped back. At this moment, the old man sitting at the back suddenly said to Yin Baitian. Then he looked at Itoda and continued. Little brother, how should I address you? Which sect are you from? When did you enter the Shifeng territory? We don't have your record here. Itoda frowned slightly and instantly understood that these old men should be the guardians of the vast universe galaxy at the entrance of the Shifeng territory. He said, I'm Itoda, a member of the Proud Heavens. I was sent here by Chun Wuliang, the controller. Ah, sure enough. Yin Baitian heard Itoda's words and said in his heart. Itoda almost never exposed himself in the cultivation world, so he had no reputation in the cultivation world at all. Therefore, he directly showed his trump card as a controller to avoid being treated as an outsider and questioned for a long time. The controller sent you in? Can you prove it? It's very simple. Take me to see the controller, isn't it? Itoda said, Little brother, you must be joking. How can we see the controller casually? In the past 1,000 years, there has been no fluctuation of heaven's punishment from the Shifeng territory, but you came out from the Shifeng territory. Maybe you came through the Star River Tunnel? Tisk TSK. So, you don't want to let me go? Sorry, little brother, you have no record of entering, so you must prove your identity. We will record it before you can leave. Really? Can't Yin Baitian prove it? Ito looked at Yin Baitian and said, I only know that this physical body belongs to my disciple. Even though you've already ascended to the grand mist supremacy realm, the aura of your physical body's origin hasn't changed. I was the one who taught you, so of course I recognize it. However, I don't know who your soul is. Damn it. Itoda cursed in his heart. Proving his identity was a very simple matter for others, but for him, it seemed that except for the people closest to his master, no one in the entire cultivation world knew of his existence. How do I prove it? 1. Just when Itoda was having a headache, a fluctuation suddenly appeared in the void. There's no need to prove it. The aged voice seemed to pierce through the heavens and earth. What shocked everyone present was that this voice actually carried a trace of excitement. Yes, Senior Yi? Itoda also called out excitedly. Have you found Qin Hao? Yilan asked from afar. Found it. I came back with Master. Master has entered the 10-direction domain. Come here first. Yilan's voice carried a trace of excitement. Send him to the sacred palace immediately. Yes, he's back. Yilan, who was sitting cross-legged in the deepest part of the sacred palace, murmured with a trace of excitement on his face. Then, he sent out a divine will. True immortal Snowplum Blossom, who was at the highest level of the temple and was temporarily in charge of everything, let out a cry of alarm. Then, she disappeared from the temple. The 10-direction domain. Tianci went directly to the 10-direction domain. When Itoda was teleported to the sacred palace by dozens of old men through the gate of time and space to meet Yilan and true immortal Snowplum, True immortal Snowplum murmured with a trace of disappointment in her eyes after Itoda condensed a short message into a memory light for them to read. It's good to focus on cultivation. It's good, this kid. He's back, but he didn't come back to see us. Snowplum, with his talent, it won't be long before you see him. Yilan comforted her. Pity the hearts of all parents. Itoda felt uncomfortable when he saw true immortal Snowplum's expression. He couldn't help but explain for his master. Master is sure that Nan and the others are in the 10-direction domain. He's probably worried about their safety, so he didn't come back to see Annie. It's good as long as he's back safely. Little Itoda, tell me what happened to Tianci in the past 10,000 years. Tell me everything you know. I want to hear. Show me Tianci's current appearance and let me see. Yes, Auntie. Itoda's heart ached, and he condensed Qin Hao's current appearance. In fact, nothing had changed, but true immortal Snowplum still stared at him with bright eyes, sizing him up. Itoda slowly told true immortal Snowplum everything he knew, big and small, but he didn't tell her that Qin Hao had sensed that something had happened to Chun Nan and the others. True immortal Snowplum cared about Qin Hao's experience, and she asked Itoda about it from time to time. After Yilan received Itoda's memory light, he looked lonely. He sighed in his heart and muttered to himself, Zhuaziwan of the chaotic universe, Buzz. In the 10-direction domain, there was a mysterious fluctuation in the space, and Qin Hao appeared in it. I'm here. I'm finally here. What a powerful aura. It's stronger than the Hongmeng domain of the chaotic universe. Qin Hao's powerful soul perception spread out. To his surprise, the Hongmeng Qi and the law of heaven in the 10-direction domain were more powerful than those in the Hongmeng domain, and it wasn't just a little bit stronger. Ancient chaos. Even if all the masters in the 10-direction galaxy gathered here, they couldn't have more masters than the chaotic universe. I didn't expect this place to be more powerful than the Hongmeng domain. If we are divided, we will be weak, but if we are united, we will be strong. This should be the reason. Qin Hao felt relieved when he thought of the chaotic universe's academy system, the Immortal Sutra Sanctuary, and the ruler of the Immortal Sutra City who controlled the entire chaotic universe. The environment in which a practitioner grew up had a great impact on his own achievements. Boom! After a while, Qin Hao suddenly released his aura. Although it wasn't at its peak state, the practitioners within a radius of 10 million miles would certainly be able to sense the fluctuation of this powerful aura. The Hongmeng domain was vast and boundless, and this place was more powerful than the Hongmeng domain. Qin Hao needed to think to know that this space was probably much larger than the Hongmeng domain. He had just entered and knew nothing about this place. The fastest way to get information was undoubtedly to attract practitioners. So fast. So many? A mixture of races? As soon as he released his aura, Chunhao's powerful soul perception detected countless auras rapidly approaching. What surprised Chunhao was that many practitioners were rushing over from all directions. What surprised him even more was that the life fluctuations of these auras didn't belong to those old immortals who were nearing the end of their lifespans. What was even more surprising was that the practitioners who were obviously not of the same race were actually still together. Could it be? Almost instantly, Chunhao's face shone with coldness. First update, please subscribe, please subscribe. Thank you. Chapter 1054. 9 Galaxies United. No wonder Lilnan died. No wonder I couldn't control my emotions so many times. 9 Galaxies United. United. Chunhao clenched his teeth. Anger and murderous intent spread wildly in his heart. But at this moment, he forcibly suppressed it. He had just stepped into the 10-direction territory, and the other party did not come because they sensed the aura he released. Instead, they were directly attracted by the spatial fluctuations he caused when he entered the 10-direction territory. These people must be waiting in the area where cultivators who had just entered were most likely to appear. Taking a deep breath, Chunhao suddenly flew in a certain direction. His speed wasn't fast at all. Chi. After a short while, thousands of people surrounded Chunhao, and they were closing in on him quickly. However, when they were about 1,000 miles away, they stopped. F***CK Protoss. I came here for nothing. Let's go. There are fewer and fewer cultivators from the vast universe galaxy coming in. How boring. Many cultivators from the insect race, dark demon race, heavenly demon race, elf race, winged race, goblin race, and tyrant race left gloomily after sensing the Protoss bloodline aura on Chunhao. Brother, your aura is very strong. Which sector are you from? Why don't I have any impression of you? A Protoss cultivator flew directly to Chunhao and greeted him. Chunhao looked at him arrogantly and coldly, as if he was looking at trash and disdained to interact with him. Without saying a word, he suddenly sped up. F***CK. Our boss asked you a question. Didn't you hear him? You think you're a big shot just because your aura is a little stronger? Stop right there. When the person who asked the question looked extremely embarrassed, the other 2 Protoss cultivators immediately shouted. Boom, boom. At the same time, they gathered their powerful physical strength and sped up to block Chunhao. There's a show to watch. Wait a moment before you leave. Seeing the situation here, the cultivators from various clans who were originally leaving quickly returned and gathered around. Interesting. I've been in seclusion for 10,000 years, and it seems like the world has changed. Can all the major galaxies live in peace? Even kittens and puppies dare to show off in front of me? Chunhao stared at the 2 god race cultivators in front of him with a cold and arrogant expression. After a few seconds, he suddenly licked his lips and said in a bloodthirsty and cruel tone, Upon hearing Chunhao's words, the cultivators from the Shun clan and other clans were taken aback. He had been in seclusion for 10,000 years. It seemed that this kid knew nothing about the current situation in the 10-direction territory. Chunhao's words were filled with contempt and ridicule, causing the 2 god race disciples in front of him to have ugly expressions. Kittens and puppies. Brat, you are very arrogant, aren't you? Tell me your name. I want to see what qualifications you have to be so arrogant. Was being in seclusion for 10,000 years a big deal? Do you think the world is still the same as it was 10,000 years ago? Who knew that in these 10,000 years, geniuses would emerge in large numbers, and a great era would descend? With your aura, you might have been a dragon 10,000 years ago, but now, you're at best a worm, kitten or puppy. I'm a chicken, and I eat worms. Many cultivators from the Shun clan and other clans burst into laughter at once. They all looked at Chunhao with playful eyes, as if he was looking down on the world with disdain and disdain. Don't talk nonsense with him. Mother of Asterisk Cur, not to mention you. Even Commander Lu Qianri calls me brother. Who do you think you are? Now, I order you to join my army and stay here to slaughter the human cultivators who came in." The leader of the Shun clan glared coldly at Chun Hao and said angrily, "Lu Qianri? Is he related to Lu Qinya?" Chun Hao was slightly taken aback by his words. Lu Qinya has the bloodline of the God King and is very powerful in the Shun clan. Since Lu Qianri is a commander, perhaps they are brothers. Interesting. Thinking of this, Chun Hao's expression did not change at all. His gaze was still cold and indifferent as it swept across the face of the leader who spoke. Immediately, he looked at the surrounding cultivators of the other races and said, "Are all of you together? Don't worry. Although the 9 galaxies have joined forces to attack the vast universe galaxy, we will not interfere in your internal struggles. Brother, I support you. Fight. Kill. Ha ha ha." The leader of the tyrants said, as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. "Yes, yes, brother. I have high hopes for you. You've been in seclusion for 10,000 years. You're so powerful. Good luck." The leader of the insect clan said. He looked as if he was waiting for a good show. The other weaker clans did not dare to tease the Shun clan so blatantly, but their expressions were obviously jackalls of the same tribe. "Oh, since when did the human race in the vast universe galaxy become the common enemy?" Chun Hao looked at the insect clan cultivator who spoke just now and asked, "It seems like you've been in seclusion for more than 10,000 years. Don't you know that the vast universe galaxy's destiny has skyrocketed, and countless young geniuses have emerged all of a sudden? If we don't teach them a lesson, the future of ancient chaos will become the world of the human race." "All right, I've answered your question. Brother, I have high hopes for you. Fight, fight, fight. Fight, fight, fight." Suddenly, many people shouted and cheered. Their mocking gazes and tone of wanting to see the world in chaos made the faces of the Shun clan cultivators turn ugly. Damn it, why do they have to meet such a troublemaker? Although they thought they could settle this easily, it was very uncomfortable to be watched by the other clans. Do you want to watch a show? At this moment, Chun Hao's gaze slowly swept across the cultivators who were trying to bewitch him. His expression was full of disdain as he said, "Whether I fight or not, you bunch of trash can decide." Oomph. While Chun Hao's cold and arrogant words caused an uproar among the cultivators of the various clans. Damn it, wasn't this too arrogant? As for the Shun clan cultivators, although they wanted to crush Chun Hao to death right now, they were stunned when they heard Chun Hao provoking all the foreign clans so arrogantly. They felt vaguely satisfied. They knew that this kid was definitely an arrogant idiot, but to be able to be so arrogant to the extent that he was not afraid of anything was really too amazing. Damn you. Who are you calling trash? Bang. Boom. After a brief uproar, the leader of the tyrants suddenly pointed at Chun Hao's nose and scolded. However, the moment he spoke, Chun Hao stepped out and directly crushed the space. The terrifying blood chi in his body was like a human-shaped weapon as he punched out. "You're courting death. Kill him." Boom, boom, boom. No one expected Chun Hao to be so valiant as to directly attack the leader of the tyrants here. When the leader of the tyrants sensed the terrifying power contained in Chun Hao's punch, he was furious and shocked at the same time. In an instant, all the cultivators of the tyrants attacked Chun Hao violently. The Shun clan cultivators were dumbfounded. Second update, Wu Shan continues. Can you give me a monthly ticket? Little Poison Scent, Stlixiang, Flubber, High Quiz Joy, Bookfriend 513195352, One Piece XY, PBLNG, and other friends large and continuous rewards. Thank you. Chapter 1055. Boom. Boom, boom. Countless terrifying divine abilities and ultimate skills, carrying violent energy, bombarded Chun Hao from all directions under everyone's shocked gazes. Boom, boom. A shrill scream suddenly erupted, followed by the sound of a body exploding and blood splattering all over the sky. Strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. At this moment, amidst the dense divine powers and energy, Although the onlookers couldn't see the specific situation in the chaos for the time being, the sound of blood and sound already made everyone think that Chunhao had been killed by the group attack. Idiot! The cultivators from the God clan who were dumbfounded scolded in disdain. Boom! Ah! Boom! However, it was only for a moment before another scream was heard. Immediately, everyone's screams exploded in the terrifying and raging energy, and a blood-soaked figure finally appeared in front of everyone's eyes. At this moment, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air and felt a chill in their hearts. How is this an idiot who was strong on the outside, but weak on the inside, but looked down on everything? He wiped out thousands of troops with his bare hands. Any divine weapon would be smashed into smithereens by his fist. Any cultivator who got close to him would be blown up like a rubber ball by his fist. Everyone's seemingly terrifying attacks landed on his body, but they couldn't even break his skin, let alone seriously injure him. In an instant, more than 10 cultivators from the tyrants who surrounded Chunhao were turned into powder. How is this possible? In a short moment, these cultivators already understood that they had encountered an extremely terrifying monster. They were not on the same level as him and could only be trampled on. This was an existence that couldn't be defeated by numbers. When they realized this cruel reality, they were so scared that they almost peed their pants and retreated quickly. Useless chickens and pottery dogs. Want to run? Don't even think about leaving. All of you will die. Boom! Boom! Chunhao, who was purely using his body as a weapon, was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. His entire body was bathed in blood. His cold voice resounded through the heavens and earth. He was like a shooting star, instantly catching up and killing one at the same time. The faster one ran, the faster one died. What was even more shocking was that no matter what race the cultivator was from, as long as they happened to be in the path of his movement, they would explode with a single punch. He was a bloodthirsty maniac who would kill anyone he saw, regardless of who the other party was. Lunatics! Hurry! Hurry! Run! When even the Protoss cultivators were killed with a single punch, everyone knew that they had encountered an extremely powerful homicidal maniac. None of them dared to hesitate any longer as they frantically fled in all directions. No one can run away now. Seal! Chi. At this moment, Chunhao suddenly soared into the sky. His hands instantly formed a series of mysterious runes that rained down from the heavens. In an instant, the space within a radius of tens of millions of miles seemed to be covered in a layer of seven-colored light. Boom, boom, boom. The cultivators who were scared out of their wits frantically attacked the light screen, but no one was able to shake it at all. Moreover, the light screen was quickly closing in. Everyone was like fish caught in a net, quickly closing in on Chunhao. Brother. No, big brother, we have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. We are all from the Protoss. Lunatic, how dare you provoke the tyrant? Bam. Those who begged for mercy were fine, but before they could finish their words, Chunhao directly punched them, destroying their bodies and souls. Spare us. We have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. The cultivators who wanted to threaten him with words seemed to have their gallbladder ruptured at this moment. Their mouths were full of bitterness, and they forcefully swallowed their words back. Threaten? That was courting death. The leader of the tyrants had already been killed. What was this lunatic afraid of? Plop plop. As everyone got closer and closer to Chunhao, the terrifying pressure and intense murderous aura caused some of the weaker cultivators to fall to their knees one after another. However, they were still pushed closer to Chunhao by the rainbow barrier. He's not a Protoss. His physique as a Protoss can't possibly have such a divine ability. At this moment, many of the cultivators who had yet to break down finally realized something. All of them were terrified and could not help but move closer to Chunhao. Human, you're a human cultivator. The leader of the sky demons suddenly exclaimed. If you only know now. The pressure around Chunhao grew stronger and stronger. Countless cultivators could no longer withstand it and fell to their knees or crawled on the ground like dead pigs, pushed closer and closer by Chunhao's divine ability. What are you trying to do? Could it be that you want to make an enemy of the 9 galaxies? Ha ha! Idiots! The 9 galaxies have joined forces to kill us humans. And you call that making an enemy of you? How can you say something like that? Weren't you hunting human cultivators here? You've killed a lot of them, haven't you? What a strong, murderous aura. You? Who are you among Proud Sky's core members? No, that's impossible. Not even the strongest people in Proud Heaven could be that strong. Oh, looks like you know a lot. Tell me, what's the situation with Proud Sky's core members? Puffed. Chun Hao grasped at the air, and an invisible shackle sealed the Sky Demon leader's neck. Like a little chick, Chun Hao grabbed him by the throat and pulled him in front of him. You, kill me if you dare. Why should I tell you? All you need to know is that you're dead. The human race, all human cultivators must die. In the entire 10 Directions territory, not a single human would be able to survive here in the future, not to mention the birth of a Grand Miss Sovereign. Ha! Is that so? Chun Hao asked in return as he stared coldly at the Sky Demon leader who had a strong backbone, resisting the urge to crush him to death directly. Of course, we're just small fries. The 9 great leaders and the true powerhouses have sealed off all areas where great world marks are born. Humans are basically all dead. Ha ha ha. Where are Proud Sky's core members? Are you that concerned about Proud Sky's? You must be one of Proud Sky's hidden champions, aren't you? You're so unlucky to have come here to die. All of Proud Sky's peripheral members have been wiped out by our 9 galaxies. There aren't many of their core champions left, and they're just hanging on at death's door, hiding in some corner waiting for death. Be specific, Chun Hao demanded coldly, his eyes bursting with terrifying murderous intent. Who are you? At least let me know who killed me before I die, right? The Sky Demon leader stared at Chun Hao and asked. In the face of certain death, he was no longer afraid. Chun Hao's aura abruptly shuddered, and his appearance and aura instantly changed. After a brief silence, countless cries of terror broke out. Every one of them was trembling violently, their legs turning to jelly, and they were just short of shitting themselves. In particular, the cultivators who had entered the primitive secret realm more than 10,000 years ago were gaping. Third update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1056. Kill. Killing God. Chun Hao. How is this possible? The voice of the Sky Demon leader whose neck was being choked by Chun Hao was filled with boundless fear, and he was trembling so much that he could not even speak coherently. He happened to be one of the Heavenly Fiend clan cultivators who had come out of the primitive mystic realm alive. Not only did he recognize Chun Hao immediately, but everyone present, even those who had not entered the primitive mystic realm, recognized him. Back then, killing God Chun Hao had dominated the primitive mystic realm and killed countless foreign races. Who in the primitive mystic realm could stop his monstrous talent, combat ability, and merciless slaughter? It was an understatement to say that they were terror-stricken. After the primitive mystic realm ended, killing God Chun Hao's ferocious name shook the entire primordial chaos. His appearance had long been simulated and spread throughout the 10 galaxies. However, more than 10,000 years ago, he and the 10th life of the Shao family's patriarch, the #1 family in the vast universe galaxy, had both perished in the heavenly punishment of the golden scale dragon transformation. How could he appear now? Even if someone later speculated that he was not dead based on the Proud Heavens Association's strange beliefs, how could he have returned? Even if he could, he would have returned to the Hongmeng realm. How could he have come to the 10 regions? But now, that cold and handsome face, those red eyes, and the aura that was not concealed in the slightest, were clearly displayed in front of everyone. Who else could it be but the god of slaughter, Chun Hao? Speak. Chun Hao's hand that was choking the Sky Demon leader's neck suddenly tightened, and a mysterious rune fused into the body of the Sky Demon leader. At the same time, Chun Hao's red eyes seemed to have turned into a bottomless abyss, carrying a mysterious power that could shake one's soul. Proud Heaven's core member Chun Nan was destroyed in body and soul. Chun Ling and Li Yang's immortal spirit bodies were destroyed, and their yuan spirits escaped. Coiling Dragon's physical body was destroyed, and his yuan spirit escaped. Around a month ago, Chen Shui was heavily injured and could not keep her body intact. Then, Du Jing used a heaven-defying poison technique and went all out, along with Lin Xia. The Sky Fiend cultivator's voice seemed to be devoid of emotion as he spoke quickly and mechanically. With every sentence and every name that was spoken, Chun Hao's heart thumped as if it was being bitten by thousands of worms. His expression twisted in pain. Where the rest of proud heaven? Chun Hao's voice caused the temperature to drop. I don't know. It turns out that we spread the news and killed batches of human captives to force them to show up. Now, they can't even protect themselves, so they can't even come out. For the time being, he couldn't find it, because the leader of the tyrants, Golden Dragon, was in seclusion to condense the prototype of the great world. The other 8 leaders were temporarily relaxed. Without the Gold Royals, they won't be able to take down Proud Heaven's core members. Boom! Even as the Sky Demon Race leader spoke, he was reduced to minced meat in Chun Hao's hands before he could even recover from his stupor. Scarlet blood stained Chun Hao's face. Roar! Soon after, Chun Hao spread open his arms, clenched his fists tightly, and let out a wild roar towards the sky. Monstrous fury, endless sorrow, vast, vigorous, and extremely violent energy seemed to have all been released from this roar of his. Ah! Bang, bang, bang. Rumble, rumble, rumble. At this moment, the thousands of cultivators of other races who were bound by the heaven-defying seal let out shrill and terrified screams like pigs being slaughtered. They covered their ears desperately as blood flowed out of their eyes, nose, mouth, and mouth. Then they exploded like human-shaped bombs and turned into clouds of blood mist. No one could resist, not even struggle. The terrifying pressure and the boundless killing intent dyed the sky for thousands of miles red. Blood flowed like rivers, turning the place into a purgatory on earth. Chun Hao, the god of slaughter, was filled with boundless fury. His path of frenzied revenge began from this moment on. The thunderous roar reverberated through the entire 10-square world. Even after everyone had been annihilated, there wasn't even a trace of them left. The roar was like rolling thunder, spreading through the entire 10-square world. Mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Rivers rose into the sky. What a horrifying fluctuation! The cultivators who were billions of kilometers away, or even tens of billions of kilometers away, were all shocked by Chun Hao's violent and long roar. No one knew what had happened. However, a figure shrouded in blood-red crystal light dashed toward the depths of the Shifeng territory at a terrifying speed. Wherever he passed, blood stained the sky. All the cultivators who were hit by him and didn't run away decisively were blown up by his punch. Finally, someone caught a glimpse of the face of the man who was blooming with overwhelming killing intent at the moment of lightning and sparks. Chun Hao, the god of slaughter, had arrived. The news spread like a plague in the vast 10-square world. Many of the foreign races who knew how terrifying Chun Hao was were so scared that they wet their pants and fled as far as they could. They didn't even care about the rules of the organization anymore. However, there were even more foreign races who were led by freakishly powerful beings, and they were all excited when they heard the news. Chun Hao, the god of slaughter? Humph! I'd like to see if he's as horrifying as the legends say. He just killed some small fries in the periphery. What's there to be afraid of? Let's go and catch up. With this thought in mind, the army, which had at least 1,000 experts, chased after Chun Hao as fast as they could. What? Chun Hao, the god of slaughter, has come to the 10-square world? No matter how fast Chun Hao flew, he couldn't be faster than the cultivator's message. In the depths of the 10-square world, the commanders of the 8 galaxies who were temporarily stationed in the regions where the marks of the macro worlds were born were all excited when they heard the news. Lu Qianri, the commander of the God Clan, was especially excited. Good. Since you've come to die, it saves me a lot of effort. Brother, I can finally prove that I'm stronger than you. Ha ha ha. Lu Qianri, am stronger than you in the bloodline inheritance of the God King. It's a pity that you died too early. Today, as long as I can defeat the person who killed you, it'll be enough to prove it. Ha ha ha. Pass down my order. All the Protoss troops are to assemble. No one is to stop Chun Hao. I want everyone to know that I'm the strongest bloodline of the God King. I'll break the legend of a dead man. Buzz. Buzz, 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 buzz. After Lu Qinri passed down the order to the Protoss cultivators, he directly sent out 7 divine consciousnesses. In the other 7 directions, apart from the tyrant's commander, Golden Dragon, the other 7 received Lu Qinri's order while they were still excited. Should I go first? That's good. I haven't seen Chun Hao's strength with my own eyes. Since Lu Qinri wants to fight, I'll let him test the waters. If he can't do it, there's no need for me to embarrass myself. The other 7 were eager to give it a try, but after receiving Lu Qinri's message, they all had the same idea. Among the commanders of the 9 galaxies, Lu Qinri was second only to Golden Dragon. Although the 7 of them were strong, they were still weaker than Lu Qinri. My neck and shoulders are hurting badly. The 5th update might be late. I can't wait. I'll see it tomorrow. Sigh. Chapter 1057. Condense the prototype of a great world. Humph. I won't let any of you escape. Chun Hao, who seemed to be crazy, was extremely angry and heartbroken when he learned that Pan Long, Chun Ling, Li Yong, Du Jing, and even Qin Shui were in big trouble. However, he was mentally prepared and had tempered his will. His heart was as clear as a mirror, and there was no sign of him falling into a state of madness. This was obviously because his tolerance for advancement had increased a lot. However, Chun Hao did not realize that in the vast thousand worlds of chaos, he had used his Tao voice to influence all living beings and preached about cherishing life. At this moment, he had killed people without batting an eyelid. He did not feel guilty at all. Previously, he had killed thousands of people from the 9 foreign race legions without even a frown on his face. Reverse scale. Several of his brothers, sisters, and women had fallen. After being bullied to this extent, it would be difficult to vent the hatred in his heart if he didn't kill them all. Righteousness. When the 9 major galaxies joined forces to kill the human cultivators of the vast universe galaxy, did they ever think about the meaning of life? What he wanted to do was to fight evil with evil, to kill for kill. Who cared if you were good at evil? Who cared if you had a loved one? Who cared if your cultivation was easy? Kill them all. You want to cut off the possibility of the human cultivators of the vast universe galaxy becoming Hongmeng Supreme in the 10-direction territory. Then I will kill you all. I won't be promoted for 100 years, 1,000 years, or even 10,000 years. I will dominate this place and destroy the future of the 9 major galaxies. A drop of water will be repaid with a gushing spring. The hatred of a small grievance will be returned 1,000 times. Especially the culprit. Chun Hao's anger rose in his heart. Although the information he received was limited, Chun Hao knew that the 9 major galaxies joining forces to deal with the vast universe galaxy was not as simple as it seemed. It was definitely not an agreement reached after entering the 10-direction territory. This was definitely a conspiracy that had been planned in the outside world. Who was the leader? Xiao Ranruo. In just a few words, it was enough to show that the strongest of the 9 major commanders of the 9 major galaxies was the tyrant's Golden Dragon. At this moment, he was in seclusion to condense the prototype of a great world. How could Chun Hao, who had exposed himself, give him too much time? Chun Hao believed that once he really went on a killing spree, his strength would definitely scare off some people. Tyrant's leader, Golden Dragon. Then, once the prototype of the macro world was formed, it would directly trigger the divine punishment. Once it was too far away, Chun Hao might not be able to sense it. Once it opened the Star River Tunnel and left the 10-direction territory, it would be too difficult for Chun Hao to kill it again. To do that, one would have to cross the star system and enter the other party's domain. By then, Chun Hao wouldn't be facing Daoyuo Jingxian, but countless Hongmeng Supremes, Dao-severing perfected immortals, and the masters of other galaxies. Wong. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Buzz, 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 buzz. Suddenly, Chan Hao, who was going deeper at a terrifying speed, felt a slight fluctuation between his eyebrows. Immediately, this fluctuation seemed to be increasing in strength, constantly shaking the world in his mind. What happened? Chen Hao frowned slightly. He could clearly sense that this fluctuation came from the space that he had sealed and completely isolated himself from the outside world. He had completely given that space to his second life. It was also the life that Chen Hao valued the most. That space held the faith of all the members of Proud Heaven, as well as the deepest feelings of his brothers and sisters and women. Chen Hao didn't dare to accept all of this, fearing that he would truly fall into bedevilment. Therefore, he used it all on his second life. Tempering him was also tempering himself. Once he merged with the second life, his will, soul, and the realm of the 7 emotions and 6 pleasures would definitely rise by a large margin. It might even transform and make a qualitative leap. But at this time, why would there be fluctuations from hitting the barrier? It shouldn't be growing so fast, right? Chen Hao was puzzled. The second life was isolated from all his memories, except for the laws of the mystique. Moreover, it had condensed his strongest seal. No matter how much pain he endured, he wouldn't be able to move. He could only face it head-on. This was undoubtedly the cruelest thing. Even if Chen Hao merged with it, he would probably slap himself in the face. How could he be so cruel to himself? According to Chen Hao's estimation, only the second life's consciousness could completely control the world that he had carved out. Only then would he be able to strike the barrier. At the very least, it would take thousands of years, or even tens of thousands of years. After all, the second life couldn't possibly surpass the talent of his true self. Behave yourself. I don't have time to deal with you, Ugh. Chen Hao sent a powerful strand of divine will into the sealed space. After he finished speaking, he was a bit speechless. Whose father? It was himself. Chen Hao. Chen Hao didn't send out his divine will to investigate, but rather to warn his other self. However, what he hadn't expected was that the strand of divine will he sent into the barrier was actually locked onto by a divine will that seemed weak to him, but was extremely pure. It seemed to contain boundless profundity. Furthermore, the divine will caught that moment of connection and shouted out from the depths of his soul. Little nurse Lu Hui? Chen Hao stammered. He nearly fell out of the void. How is this possible? How is this possible? He knew that little nurse Lu Hui had an innate spiritual body. Her cultivation talent was bound to be very strong. That was for sure. He also knew that she had extraordinary special abilities and divine abilities from a young age. But to Chen Hao, it really wasn't that strong. He hadn't paid it any mind. However, at this moment, the shock in Chen Hao's heart was no less than that of an earthling seeing an alien. It was 100 times, 1,000 times more shocking than the fact that his second life's divine will had risen to such a level in such a short period of time. After all, although the cultivation techniques he'd passed down to his biological father and father were ultimate divine abilities, they were all at the lowest level of the human immortal realm. In Chen Hao's opinion, it was enough for the life forms of the Skyriver sector to cultivate for thousands of years. But Lu Hui actually had such a powerful divine will. It was too inconceivable. She didn't even have a cultivation technique. There weren't any ruins or legacies left behind in his mind. Little Hui. Oh yeah, it's me. It's me. Do you hear me? That's great. I haven't been able to control the entire space yet. I'm just experimenting. Chen Hao, you're so ruthless. Why are you so ruthless to yourself? When you fuse, it'll be very, very painful. You can't even handle the other one. I'm worried to death. I'm comforting him every day. You can't be, right? How do you know all this? I don't know. After I came here, I naturally understood. Also, I seem to understand some of the Taoist scriptures and Buddhist scriptures you chanted. Also, every time I increase my cultivation realm, many divine abilities will appear. They should belong to me originally, and they've awakened. Chen Hao, you can't be so ruthless. I'm comforting you every day. If I don't comfort you when the time comes, even if you fuse, you'll probably fall into the demonic path. So, can you stop restricting my divine will? Just treat it as my reward. Hee hee. If you don't agree, I'll hit you every day. I won't comfort you anymore. I've already become the holy mother of 6 children. I even help you take care of your sons. 5th update. Can you give me a monthly ticket? Chapter 1058. Nurse Liu Huey's words stunned Chun Hao and gave him a headache. Inherited memories. Bloodline awakening. What else could it be other than this? The one with a headache was the holy mother of the 6 children. Of course, the 6 children weren't Nurse Liu Huey's, but rather the 6 special nurses who had given birth to Chun Hao's second life. Because he had deliberately created his second life to be independent, Chun Hao's original body didn't feel much about it. However, sooner or later, they would have to merge. No matter what, he had already become a father for some inexplicable reason, although he felt a little happy about it. However, he still hadn't fulfilled any of his duties as a father. Chun Hao, can you hear what she's saying? Liu Hui shouted again. Boom, boom, boom. All right, but don't use your divine sense to probe. What's about to happen will definitely be very bloody and violent. It's not suitable for children. Baba, you're the child. Hee, you're more interesting like this. Don't worry, I won't affect you, Nurse Liu said with some excitement. In the independent space of the mental world, Nurse Liu's pretty face was slightly red, with a hint of excitement. After she had awakened her memories, she understood Chun Hao's special state very well. Whether it was Chun Hao's second life or Chun Hao's original body, in her heart, they were all the same person. However, hearing the words of Chun Hao's original body still made her happy. This was a little more interesting. That's good. If the other me's divine sense grows to the point where it can connect to the entire space, let me know. No problem. Then that's that. After Chun Hao finished speaking, he locked onto Liu Huey's divine sense and opened a channel that allowed her to sense the outside world. I'm afraid it's not as simple as a reincarnated innate spirit body. This nurse isn't simple. After withdrawing his divine sense, Chun Hao thought to himself. Her cultivation speed was not enough to make Chun Hao sigh. After all, she even understood some of the Taoist and Buddhist scriptures that Chun Hao recited. If Liu Hui was immortal and said that she understood a little, Chun Hao would not find it strange at all. She only understood the literal meaning. However, Liu Hui was already a cultivator at the heavenly immortal stage. If she said that she understood, it meant that she had comprehended part of the profoundness within. This was undoubtedly astonishing. Die. Boom. Just as Chun Hao was madly advancing and sighing, a group of foreign race cultivators appeared in front of him. Without any hesitation, Chun Hao's long hair fluttered in the wind, his Taoist robe expanded, and his fist, which was like a falling star, smashed most of the foreign race cultivators into smithereens. The leader was obviously a cultivator who came to see how strong Chun Hao, the god of killing, was. He was so scared that he screamed and ran away. However, Chun Hao did not chase after him. Before he crushed the culprit into smithereens, he could not reveal his strongest strength. He was afraid that he would scare them away. He could move unhindered in the Hongmeng domain of the vast thousand worlds of chaos. Although the Shifeng domain was vast and obviously stronger than the Hongmeng domain, the cultivators in the Shifeng domain were inferior to the cultivators in the Hongmeng domain. Chun Hao was not being arrogant. He really could not think of anyone who could stop him. When strength and combat strength were raised to a certain level, it was not something that could be solved by numbers alone. He could trample thousands of ants to death with one foot. If there were too many of them, he could leave with a lift of his foot. It wasn't up to the strong to decide whether to kill or stay. The provocative troops who thought they were strong kept appearing. However, Chun Hao only used a simple and violent punch to knock them back. They were just weaklings who could not withstand a single blow. However, as time went by, Chun Hao frowned slightly. What's going on? Could it be that the strength I displayed was too strong? Chun Hao thought that he had controlled the situation well. Although he was terrifyingly strong, it was only for ordinary cultivators. Those who were slightly stronger could escape. Chun Hao was not very clear about the strength of the leaders of the 9 galaxies, but he thought that they should be able to do it, and they should be stronger than him. According to the situation, there should be more powerful troops coming. However, in less than half a day, no one stopped him from moving forward. His journey was smooth. Only his strong soul perception could catch the aura of cultivators who were peeping from afar but did not dare to come close. They were also moving toward the depths of the Shifeng domain. Is he letting them go? After thinking for a short while, Chun Hao thought of a possibility. That's even better. Chun Hao's eyes became colder. He's so strong. Killing God, Chun Hao is back. He's obviously mad with anger. Yes, you don't know. When killing God, Chun Hao was in the primitive secret realm. He was like this once he started killing. He was cold and ruthless. No matter how many he killed, he would not even frown. Now, he's Daluo Jinxian. He's much more terrifying than before. So what? He's strong indeed. However, he could dominate the primitive secret realm, but he can't dominate the Shifeng domain now. That's for sure. Not to mention the Tyrant Clan's golden dragon, who is said to be a monster that only appears once in 1,000,000,000 years. Even Lu Qianri and our commander can easily kill him. I'm afraid it's not that simple. Why? Do you doubt the strength of the commanders? That's not it. It's just that over 10,000 years ago, Death God Chun Hao triggered the true form of the Golden Scale Dragon transformation. Under the final heavenly tribulation, he was annihilated along with the 10th fate of the number 1 family in the vast universe galaxy. He must have been brought into the depths of the chaotic space by the heavenly tribulation of the Golden Scale Dragon transformation that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earths. It is already a miracle that he was able to survive, but to return as a golden immortal is even more inconceivable. He's so lucky. I don't think he'll be killed so easily. That's true. Let's wait and see. He's so lucky. How can he beat the golden dragon from the tyrants? He was born 5,000 years ago and became the number 1 Grand Luo in the tyrants. To be precise, he's the number 1 Grand Luo in the chaotic universe. His strength is unfathomable, and even the 8 great commanders are obedient to him. All the cultivators in the Shifeng domain gathered in the depths of the Shifeng domain because of the appearance of the killing god Chun Hao and the orders of the 8 commanders. Countless people were talking about the killing god Chun Hao, whose name shook the chaotic universe more than 10,000 years ago. No one knew that a figure that had merged with everything in the world was approaching Chun Hao, the god of slaughter, who had shaken the entire 10 square territory at his fastest speed like an imperceptible breeze. No one knew that she, who blended into the world, was crying in her heart. Surprise, grievance, and other emotions almost made it impossible for her to blend into the world. Tears of joy could only flow in her heart because she had lost her beautiful eyes. Where would her tears come from? With the support of the monthly votes, those who do not have the monthly votes, please vote for Dark Mountain. Thank you. Wu Shan continues to write. Today is still the day. Chapter 1059. Apart from Chun Shui, who else could this figure be? Fortunately, Chun Hao was traveling in a straight line, and it was also fortunate that Chun Hao did not use the greater teleportation technique. Similarly, although Chun Shui, who only had a small physical body left, chose to leave because she did not want to drag everyone down, she did not give up hope. Not only was she inquiring for information, but she was also waiting for an opportunity to sneak into the area where the Great World Mark was born to intercept Chun Hao. Otherwise, Chun Shui would not be able to catch up even if she wanted to. Buzz. Sensing that Chun Hao was getting closer and closer, Chun Shui, who had merged into the world, suddenly jumped out and crazily urged all of her energy aside from suppressing the vicious down mark, releasing it without restraint. Ow! Condensing her voice into a line, Chun Shui let out her sobbing voice that resounded through the world. Chi! Chun Hao, who was moving forward quickly and did not sense any aura, felt his heart skip a beat when Chun Shui's aura suddenly burst forth. His eyes widened abruptly, integrated into the world, although Chun Hao's realm was higher than Chun Shui's. But this kind of powerful concealment ability If Chun Hao did not calm down and focus on sensing, he would not be able to catch it. At this time, the moment Qin Shui released her aura, Chun Hao knew who it was. That familiar origin aura, even after more than 10,000 years, would not change. Immediately, hearing Chun Shui's voice that contained all kinds of complex emotions, Chun Hao was so excited that his whole body trembled. Little Shui! A shout full of surprise burst out from Chun Hao's roar. Whoosh! His speed suddenly doubled. No one knew that this was under the condition that Chun Hao did not use the great teleportation technique. Nothing could describe Chun Hao's mood at this moment. Originally, when he learned that everyone had been forced to hide, Chun Hao did not try to find them. Even if Chun Hao believed that he could find them, it would take too long. If he really wanted to hide in the periphery of the vast and boundless 10-direction territory, no matter how strong Chun Hao's sensing ability was, it would take time. The best way was to expose himself and set off a commotion in the entire 10-direction territory. At that time, as long as everyone heard a little news, they would definitely come to meet him. However, that would also take some time. At least, Chun Hao did not expect Qin Shui to get his news so quickly and come to meet him. On his handsome face, Chun Hao, who was filled with dense killing intent just a moment ago, was now filled with intense excitement and pleasant surprise. After more than 10,000 years, he was finally able to see the woman he loved. Even if Chun Hao's state of mind was extremely strong, when he sensed Chun Shui's aura at this moment and heard Chun Shui's cries that were filled with excitement, pleasant surprise, grievance, and sorrow, his eyes started to sparkle. It was as if he saw Chun Shui in a blue dress, with a graceful figure and a beautiful face. His Shui's great teleportation technique was Shui's. The distance of millions of miles was crossed in an instant. His eyes finally saw the woman he loved. But Chun Hao's eyes froze in an instant, and then turned red. Chun Hao clenched his teeth in pain. His heart was like being pricked by needles. Monstrous anger and boundless murderous intent spread in his heart. Where was the beautiful figure in the blue dress? Where was the beautiful face? There was only a humanoid figure that was tightly wrapped up and surging with true essence. Others might not be able to see it, but Chun Hao, whose eyes were red, could clearly see the golden light shining in his eyes. A pink skeleton, a real skeleton, from head to toe, except for a small patch of flesh between the eyebrows. All that was left were dark blue bones. Moreover, they were bones that were cracked and on the verge of collapse. How? Take me away. You can't go. You don't know the strength of the other party. Chun Shui's eyes instantly turned red when she saw Chun Hao stop in his tracks. Sparkling and translucent tears flowed down her cheeks. She who was agitated, pleasantly surprised, and filled with grievance, instead calmed down even faster. She condensed her voice and tried her best to make herself seem calmer as she spoke. Who is it? Who is it? Tell me, little Shui. Tell me who is it? Chi. Chun Hao roared. At the same time, a dazzling crystal light burst out from between his eyebrows and directly wrapped around Qin Shui. Seal. At the same time, Chun Hao pointed at the void. In an instant, a radius of millions of miles was shrouded in dazzling immortal light and endless runes. The powerful seal directly blocked all the divine senses that wanted to explore this place. Chi. Chun Hao pointed one finger at a time. Every finger fused with the crystal light blossoming between his eyebrows to form a mysterious rune that merged into Chun Shui's spiritual altar. How, don't be reckless. Chun Shui wanted to stop Chun Hao from wasting his energy, but she exclaimed after saying the word reckless. She could clearly feel that the terrifying Tao marks that were encroaching on her spirit platform like shackles suddenly loosened at this moment. What replaced it was countless even more profound and terrifying runes that completely protected her spirit platform. What was even more shocking was that these runes were crazily expanding outwards with an unstoppable momentum, strangling the evil and malicious Tao marks. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. Boom! In just 3 breaths, Chun Shui felt her spiritual altar shake. Her entire soul palace and head felt extremely comfortable at this moment. She was like a bird that had broken free from its cage and was no longer affected by anything. Ow! Qin Shui cried. She cried in shock, excitement, and happiness. He was back, he was back. After more than 10,000 years, when she and the members of Proud Heaven were about to collapse and die, he was back. He had never disappointed her. He had always exceeded her expectations. Although she had fallen into despair every time and thought that there would not be a next time, he had always brought about miracles and inconceivable miracles. Other than Humain Yang, who had tried it herself. No one knew how much pain she was in after her arm was cut off, and she was bound by this terrifying and evil Dao marks that completely surpassed her realm. But when she was in front of everyone, she did not shed a single tear. She did not say any words of despair. She was afraid of implicating everyone, so she resolutely left and only told Humain Yang, who was the strongest and the most rational, all the pain she chose to bear alone. When she could no longer lead everyone, she chose to leave. She was the core of all the girls, wasn't she? But only she knew how tiring it was to be the core. A woman, no matter how strong a woman was, how strong could she be? She was weak, especially in front of her man, a man who could hold up the sky for her and give her an absolute sense of security. Chi. Majestic and pure life force surged out from between Chun Hao's eyebrows and turned into a trickle that poured onto Qin Shui's spiritual altar. Endless laws, majestic immortal light, mysterious runes, and the purest life force in the world, with Qin Shui's spiritual altar as the core, spread out at a terrifying speed. Woo. How? Woo. When a beautiful face gradually formed, Qin Shui did not care about her image and burst into tears. Her beautiful eyes stared at Chun Hao, but her tears were like broken pearls that continuously flowed down. Second update. With tears streaming down my face, I beg for monthly votes, recommendation votes. Dark Mountain continues. Please, everyone. Chapter 1060. Woo. Chun Hao's beautiful face was full of tears, and Chun Hao's eyes were red. He was crazily activating his energy and using his divine sense to destroy the evil Taoist marks on the white bones to help his body recover. The little nurse, Lu Hui, who used a wisp of divine sense to sense the situation outside, also watched the two of them crying bitterly. This was much more touching than some stupid TV series. The little nurse couldn't help but be moved. But what Chun Hao didn't know was that although the little nurse was crying, her not powerful but extremely pure divine sense was gradually integrating into the vast and boundless Shifeng domain. She wanted to do something for Chun Hao, but she didn't plan to tell Chun Hao for the time being. Because, even though she didn't know what exactly happened, she knew that Chun Hao had been heartbroken all these years. If she hadn't comforted him every day, she really didn't know what would happen. Hatred and anger. What she wanted to see most was to kill all the bad guys and villains who had made her sad and heartbroken with Chun Hao. Otherwise, it would be difficult to relieve the hatred in her heart. So, how could she tell Chun Hao at this time? What if Chun Hao was in a good mood and did something disgusting like what she saw in the movies and TV series? She didn't want to see that. Of course, although she didn't think that Chun Hao would be so disgusting, there would always be a situation where he showed some mercy. She had to keep a secret. Xiao Shui, don't cry. I'm sorry. Several hours later, Chun Hao gently wiped away the tears on Chun Shui's beautiful face, held the face that he hadn't seen for more than 10,000 years, and said, Little Nan is dead. Ling, Liang, and Coiling Dragon's fleshly bodies were destroyed. I don't know what happened to their primordial spirits. Du Jing, he sacrificed himself to the devil and died. Except for a few core members of Proud Heaven. They're all dead. How? They're all dead. Countless human cultivators were trampled and killed. They're all dead. How? Chun Shui wanted to be as calm as possible, to not be too sad, and to not appear too fragile because she did not want Chun Hao, who was already red-eyed, to be in too much pain. However, in front of her own man, her own spiritual sustenance, she could no longer suppress the dark experience of more than 1,000 years in the Shurfong territory. Her strong appearance was completely shattered. She was naked in front of Chun Hao and threw herself tightly into Chun Hao's arms. With a wah, she burst into tears again. It was as if he wanted to vent the pain of losing his brothers and sisters. Chun Hao used all his strength to hug Chun Shui's trembling body. When had the past Chun Shui ever revealed such a weak side? However, the cruel reality and the cruel experience made her. Slowly closing his eyes, Chun Hao's heart was bleeding. He let Chun Shui cry. He did not have any words to comfort her. It was not that he did not want to say anything, but there was nothing that could comfort and heal this kind of psychological trauma. Cry, cry, Chun Hao said in his heart. Perhaps only such indulgence and catharsis could lessen her pain a little. For you, for Little Nan, for Ling, for Liang, for Coiling Dragon, for Du Jing, for my brothers and sisters, for our compatriots of the human clan, I, Chun Hao, swear that I'm not a man if I don't massacre the Shurfong territory. Boundless pain, boundless anger, and boundless killing intent spread and burned in the depths of Chun Hao's heart. Holding Chun Shui's trembling body tightly, Chun Hao did not look crazy, angry, or murderous. There was only calmness, a terrible calmness. Massacre the Shurfong territory. Kill them until not even a blade of grass was left alive. Kill them until they turned the world upside down. Kill them until nothing was left. Even if he had to kill his way into the demonic path. No one could stop Chun Hao's crazy demonic thoughts under his terrifyingly calm appearance. 6 hours. Chun Shui cried loudly for 6 hours, crying as she fell asleep in Chun Hao's arms. Pain, exhaustion, and more than 1,000 years of darkness. On this day, in the safest and broadest chest in the world, she could not hold on any longer and fell asleep. Her beautiful face was still full of tears. Chun Hao's chest was completely wet with sparkling tears. Sleep. Be good and have a good sleep. When you wake up, I'll break the sky for you. Chun Hao stared at her beautiful face that had fallen into a deep sleep. Although she had recovered her physical body, her essence, energy, and spirit were weak. He gently wiped away the tears on her face and murmured. He hugged her and kissed her delicate lips and between her eyebrows. Immediately after, a crystal light flashed between her eyebrows. Chun Shui slowly and gently floated into the great world in his mind. She went directly to the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree and was enveloped by endless Tao laws and majestic pure energy. She fell asleep peacefully. Qi, the barrier that sealed a radius of millions of kilometers, was destroyed by Chun Hao with a wave of his hand. Countless divine senses in the surroundings instantly probed, but Chun Hao seemed to be unaware of it. He suddenly flew up into the air, and there was no longer the madness from before. There was only calmness, but he quickly went deeper. All the probing divine senses noticed the change in Chun Hao, but they did not understand what it meant. They only knew that Chun Hao's most beloved woman, who was also the core of Chun Hao's many women and the leader of his harem, had met him. However, she was nowhere to be found. Based on their understanding of Chun Shui, she must have used her concealment technique. Perhaps she was by Chun Hao's side and had temporarily left. No one knew. However, they were guessing. What's going on? Killing God, Chun Hao seems to have calmed down. Shouldn't he be angrier and crazier after seeing his woman in such a state? Why'd he calm down instead? I heard that when the Golden Dragon severely injured Chun Shui, he used a mysterious divine ability that surpassed the Zenith Heaven realm by countless times. Although Chun Shui escaped, her physical body was destined to collapse. When she appeared before, she was probably on the verge of collapse. The Golden Dragon said that other than Tao severing perfected immortals, no one could save her physical body. Oh, if that's the case, I might have guessed what's going on. Killing God, Chun Hao seems to have completely lost the intention to fight to the death. Perhaps he wants to use him to exchange for Chun Shui's physical body? How is that possible? Do you think killing God Chun Hao is an idiot? Our 9 galaxies joined forces to kill all of them. How can there be an exchange? None of the 9 great commanders would agree, because they will all die. How can killing God Chun Hao not know this? I guess that after seeing the Golden Dragon's powerful down mark, the possibility of him losing his fighting spirit is higher. Nonsense. Do you really know killing God Chun Hao? Let me tell you, I can confidently say that this is definitely the calm before the storm. Killing God Chun Hao, even if he is not as good as the Golden Dragon or Lu Qianri, who has fully awakened the Divine King blood essence, his character will never accept his fate. If you believe me, then hide far away, lest you become an innocent bystander and be implicated. This is a peak battle between the 9 great commanders. We can only watch, and we have to watch from afar. Otherwise, we won't even know how we died. Third update. Seeking monthly votes, recommendation votes. Kill, kill, kill. Can we kill our way up? Desire. Please, everyone. Dark Mountain, continue writing. Chapter 1061. In the boundless 10-square territory, human cultivators were hiding in some barren mountains where the spiritual chi of heaven and earth was thin. Almost every day, they would be found and searched. Countless people died in the process of running for their lives. However, the alien army that had been chasing them these 2 days had left in a hurry, heading to the core area of the 10-direction territory. Many human cultivators who were being chased had received a piece of shocking and exciting news when the alien army left. This news was like a ray of light in the endless night. It quickly spread among the remaining human cultivators at the edge of the territory. The god of slaughter Chun Hao had returned. He had stepped into the 10-direction territory and headed to the core area, which was completely occupied by the alien army. Countless pieces of information were gathered. When they learned that the alien army had ordered to let the god of slaughter go, and that Lu Qian, one of the 9 commanders, would have a one-on-one duel with the god of slaughter Chun Hao, the remaining human cultivators gathered together. More than 1,000 years of running for their lives had not only destroyed their bodies, but also their souls. They were tired. How long could they hold on? The appearance of the god of slaughter Chun Hao, with his absolute prestige in the vast universe galaxy, gave people a ray of hope. It was very faint. The human cultivators who knew how strong the 9 galaxies were when they joined forces and the commanders of the 9 galaxies were. They knew that this ray of hope was very faint, very faint. However, it was the last ray of hope, because only the god of slaughter, Chun Hao, could truly unite the hearts of the people. In that case, he was their last hope. Go, gather together and step forward. When the ray of hope was broken, they would bid farewell to this dark life and drag out an ignoble existence. They would fight to the death. They would fight to the death and burn their boats. Only then could this faint ray of hope, the last ray of hope, become a little stronger. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. In the boundless 10-square territory, Chun Hao kept moving forward. There were no more alien races to stop him. He maintained a speed that was fast for most of the cultivators, ordinary for a few, and slow for a few. He was flying in the air. For half a year, there was not the slightest pause. Chun Shui had fallen into a deep slumber under Chun Hao's deliberate manipulation in the great world of his mind. Her body, which had almost been reborn after its destruction, floated quietly under the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. It was still enveloped by endless mysteries and was constantly fusing into her body. The invisible aura she exuded also became stronger and stronger. No progress at all. It was at this moment that Lan Feng suddenly opened his eyes and gritted his teeth in a cave abode on a barren mountain peak. It's meaningless. Chi. Lan Feng abruptly stood up and rushed out of his cave. Lan Feng, what are you trying to do? Whoosh! In an instant, Hu Meinyang stood in front of Lan Feng and said with a frown, Chi 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 chi. Soon after, what made Hu Meinyang slightly surprised and worried was that Helian Wuzi, Long Ting, Tantai Lian, Xia Yu, the sisters Bailey Ning Bing, Chun Yin, and Ao Tian had all rushed out of their respective caves. Moreover, their fighting spirit was rising. "What are you trying to do?" Hu Meinyang frowned. "It's been half a year. I've long since recovered to my peak state, but I haven't made any progress. I can't calm down to cultivate or comprehend anything." "Hu Meinyang, I don't want to continue like this," Lan Feng said sternly. "It's been half a year, but none of their cultivators have found this place. This is very abnormal. I haven't made any progress either. Meinyang, we can't continue like this." Helian Wuzi's cold face shone with a cold light as she said, I can't stand it anymore. Everyone has recovered to their peak state. Let's go out and kill. We'll just run after killing them. I can't sleep anymore." Long Ting said angrily. "You all want to go out?" "Yes, I want it too. But you have to know that the more you're in a situation like this, the calmer you have to be, the more you have to cultivate without any distractions. You can't let your emotions affect you. If you can break it, then you'll improve." "Hu Meinyang, you're right. Unfortunately, I can't do it. Don't stop me. Let's kill to our heart's content. If we can't kill them, we can escape. When we die, we can earn more. What's the point of waiting for death like this?" Lan Feng said, "If you don't want to go, you don't have to go." Hu Meinyang's eyes suddenly brightened, causing Lan Feng's voice to weaken. He suddenly felt that he had gone overboard. Hu Meinyang was the Misty Rain House's saintess. Although her relationship with Boss was still unclear, her 1,000 years of experience was obvious to all. Especially when Chun Shui was severely injured, she didn't even frown when she tried to test the law. At this time, Hu Meinyang rolled her eyes at Lan Feng and looked at the others. "What about you?" "Same. We can't sit and wait for death. Kill as many as we can." Tantai Lien said first. The others also nodded. Everyone knew that Hu Meinyang was right, but no one could do it. Even Helian Wuzi, who had awakened rebirth, couldn't do it. "Actually, I can't do it either. It's been half a year, and I haven't made any progress." "Then let's go out together and kill." I thought you've reached the stage where you're untainted by the 7 emotions and 6 desires," Lan Feng said, a little stunned. Then he said, "I didn't mean anything just now. Don't mind me. Stop talking nonsense. Let's go. Let's go." Chi 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 chi. After the seal was opened, everyone restrained their breaths and rushed out of the cave. What they didn't expect was that not long after they went out, they received a piece of indescribable news that shocked and excited them. The god of slaughter Chun Hao had returned and stepped into the 10-direction territory. They had thought of Boss countless times, but they never thought that Boss could return and enter the 10-direction territory. They couldn't believe it was true. This was like a shot of cardiac stimulant into everyone's nerves. Not to mention Helian Wuzi, the girls, Lan Feng, and the others, even the cold-blooded, Hu Meinyang was so excited that her pretty face flushed red. They all crazily increased their speed to the limit and rushed towards the core area of the Shifeng territory together. Senior brother, ha ha ha, senior brother, ha ha ha, you're here, ha ha. Even if I die, I have no regrets. Get the F*CK out of here. Bang! In a deserted and hidden cave, there was a sudden burst of excited laughter. A cultivator who was sitting cross-legged laughed crazily, and tears came out his eyes. He had known that Du Jing sacrificed himself to become a demon and killed tens of thousands of alien tribe cultivators by himself. He had known about the news that he and Lin Xia both died, but he didn't risk his life. He was too weak. With only his primordial spirit, he was too weak to cause any consequences. When he heard the news, he had lost interest in life, but he still insisted on living. There were still many brothers and sisters who were holding on. He couldn't help, but he couldn't give up. Chapter 1062. He had taken a huge risk and found an opportunity to forcibly possess a tyrant cultivator's body. He had been tempering himself for a few months, and his strength had increased a little. However, at this moment, he suddenly exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. The blood mist dissipated, and the shadow of a primordial spirit that was several times larger than an ordinary person slowly condensed. Although it had lost its physical body and true essence, This primordial spirit still had the aura of an ancient, ferocious beast. Back then, when his physical body had been destroyed, he did not want to implicate his brothers and sisters, so he left alone. Just as he was scanning the surroundings with his divine telekinesis, he received news that Shunhao had returned and stepped into the 10-direction domain. Why would he still want this body? It would affect his speed. He wanted to meet up with Senior Brother as soon as possible. Senior Brother was already fighting his way to the core area. Why would he be afraid of the ball dragging him down? Even if his primordial spirit did not have much power, he wanted to fight side by side with Senior Brother. He could die in peace. Chi, Coiling Dragon's primordial spirit, suddenly turned into a stream of light and flashed toward the core of the 10-direction domain at a speed several times faster than when he had a physical body. Xiao Hui, what's going on? Why are you consuming energy so fast? Huh? I don't know. I'm cultivating. Is it affecting you? Not really. Just don't drain me dry. You can't use the energy of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree for the time being. Okay? Okay. Chunhao, who was advancing, sensed the abnormality in the great world in his mind and communicated with the little nurse, Lu Hui. He was even more shocked by the little nurse. The speed at which she absorbed energy was so fast that even the space that he had completely isolated could not satisfy her. She was not any weaker than him, who was a perfected Daluo Jinxian. However, what Shenhao did not know was that when his divine telekinesis connection with the little nurse was broken, the little nurse stuck out her tongue and made a face. She thought to herself, "Stingy guy. Refining her body consumes more energy than I use. I've already tried my best to absorb energy from the 10-direction domain. If I use all of yours, I'll really drain you dry. This heaven-defying technique consumes too much energy. My cultivation is too low. I'm so tired." The little nurse wiped the sweat off her face. She looked at the strange shadows made up of extremely small light spots in front of her and smiled. Immediately, her glabella shone again. Her hands were constantly forming extremely mysterious but weak runes that were hidden in her divine telekinesis and merged into the 10-direction. In the blink of an eye, another half a year. Chunhao sensed that there were more and more cultivators around him, and most of them had already stopped. He knew that they were about to arrive. His calm expression became even more solemn, but his heart was surging violently. Phew! A figure who was sitting cross-legged in a palace made of divine telekinesis law, suddenly let out a long sigh. The blood-red light around him slowly merged into his body. A strange blood-red rune flashed between his glabella and disappeared. It's finally here, boom! The majestic and terrifying divine king's bloodline aura suddenly erupted like a mountain and an ocean. It was not intentional at all, but the huge palace suddenly exploded. Lu Qianri, who had the divine king's body, was like an ancient demon god. He slowly walked out of the raging palace under the horrified gazes of the surrounding god clan experts. With every step he took, the pressure on his body soared. "Greetings, Commander." "Greetings, Divine King." Countless god clan cultivators could not help but kneel on the ground. They were full of fear and worship as they paid their respects. Every cultivator was extremely shocked. Lu Qianri. More than 10,000 years ago, Lu Qianri had fallen in the primitive secret realm. Although the god clan cultivators in the primitive secret realm felt it was a pity, they were not too shocked. However, no one expected that after stepping out of the primitive secret realm, they would learn of Lu Qianri's death. It actually caused an uproar in the entire god clan. The master of the god clan's anger shrouded the entire divine Dominion star system. At that time, they knew how deep Lu Qianri had hidden. Not only did he awaken the divine king's bloodline early on, but he also obtained the near-perfect divine king's body. It was the most perfect divine king's body in the god clan's history. However, he had fallen and could only become a legend. Fortunately, and what made everyone envious was that Lu Qianri's younger brother, Lu Qianri, had awakened the divine king's bloodline when he became a sky immortal. This was an extremely rare occurrence. Cultivators, no matter how strong their physique was, would give birth to strong sons. However, just like how a dragon gave birth to 9 sons, each one was different. There was no pattern to how strong they could be and how many bloodline inheritances they could awaken. Otherwise, with the long lifespan of a cultivator, as long as a powerful person had countless children, wouldn't they all be monstrous geniuses? Lu Qinya and Lu Qianri, these 2 biological brothers, both had the divine king's body. However, Lu Qianri was judged to not be as perfect as his older brother. Even so, he received the favor of the master of the God clan and was taken in as his last disciple. He was fully nurtured. It did not take long for Lu Qianri to become the number 1 Grand Luo of the God clan. However, when people talked about him, they would mention his older brother and sigh at his perfect divine king's body. That was a legend. No one knew that every time Lu Qianri heard such words, he would feel extremely unhappy. He felt that his dead brother was still stealing his luck. However, he had no way to prove that he was stronger than his older brother. The dead had become a legend. How could he prove it? But now he had a chance. The god of slaughter Chun Hao, who killed his older brother, had now stepped into the 10-direction territory. He was in the same realm as him. As long as he could defeat the god of slaughter Chun Hao, he would be able to prove to everyone that even if his divine king's body was not as perfect as his dead brother's, his overall talent was still stronger than his older brother's. Sensing the rapidly approaching aura, Lu Qianri's entire body boiled and burned. Tyrant Clan's golden dragon, come out and face your death. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderous voice came from afar. The terrifying pressure and crazy battle intent caused the sky to change color. The space within a radius of hundreds of millions of miles began to tremble. Oof! Challenged the golden dragon. You'll have to get past me first. Boom! Lu Qianri's arrogant voice soared into the sky and collided with Chun Hao's voice from afar. Countless cultivators in the surroundings had to gather their energy to protect themselves. Challenged the golden dragon? I'm asking him to come out and face his death with the 8 great commanders. Who do you think you are? I can kill Lu Qinya with a single move. You won't be an exception. Chun Hao's cold and arrogant voice was domineering. Under the gaze of countless cultivators from the foreign tribes, a person soared into the sky with monstrous killing intent. Just this courage alone was enough to earn the respect of all the members of the foreign tribes, let alone the fact that he was challenging the 9 great commanders. What kind of heroic spirit was this? 5th update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1063. Along the way, Chun Hao's powerful soul perception had already told him about the 9 great commanders through the mouths of countless cultivators. Lu Qianri of the god race was the younger brother of Lu Qianya, whom he had killed. How arrogant! Boom! Boom! At this moment, even the other 7 leaders who had arrived a long time ago were infuriated by Chun Hao's blatant disdain. Each of them suddenly emitted a violent and terrifying aura as they shouted in a stern voice. Everyone, don't be rash. Just watch how I deal with him. Lu Qianri frowned when he saw that the 8 great commanders were enraged. This was his chance to prove himself. How could he let others interfere? Even if he killed Chun Hao, he wouldn't be able to show his strength. How could he prove to everyone that he was stronger than his brother, who had become a legend? He had lived under Lu Qianya's shadow for so many years. He had long had enough. This was his only chance, and he couldn't let others interfere. You don't know your place. God of slaughter Chun Hao, do you think this is the primitive mystic realm? My brother is not as good as you, and he died in your hands. Today, I will let you know how powerful I am. God of slaughter, you're nothing in front of me. I will use your head as a sacrifice to my brother. Whoosh! Lu Qianri took a step forward and rushed towards Chun Hao at lightning speed. Although he said that he wanted to avenge Lu Qianya, it also revealed that he wanted to compete with Lu Qianya. Do you think you're worthy of being my son? Chun Hao's cold voice sounded again. His voice suddenly turned into rolling thunder. Golden Dragon, come out with me and die. This shout was even more terrifying than the previous one. It was like a thunderclap containing the sound of the great Tao that connected the heavens and the earth. Chun Hao knew very well that Golden Dragon, the commander of the tyrants and the leader of the Alliance of the Nine Galaxies, was here. He had changed his direction according to the information he had obtained. This was the territory occupied and guarded by the tyrants, and it was also the base of the Alliance of the Nine Galaxies. Liu Qianri was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Son of a bitch. Who in the world would dare to say such things about him? If that was all, it would have been fine. After all, he was determined to fight Chun Hao to the death. However, Chun Hao's target was the Golden Dragon. He didn't put him in his eyes at all. He looked down on him like a clown. Anger. However, just as Liu Qian's face turned purple, his body trembled, and his battle intent surged. Just as he was about to charge at Chun Hao, boom, rumble. Chun Hao's voice was like rolling heavenly thunder, but it was like hitting an ox across a mountain. When it passed through them, it was just a deafening sound, but when it reached the depths, each syllable actually caused the mountain peaks and the palaces condensed from the laws of divine abilities to explode, and it continued to go deeper. At this moment, it wasn't just the Xeno-race cultivators who were dumbstruck by this scene. Even the 8 commanders and Liu Qinya had turned around with astonishment. It was already shocking that the Dao sound could collapse mountains at such a distance, let alone the palaces condensed by cultivators. Anyone who was qualified to condense a palace here was definitely an expert of the tyrants. However, under Chun Hao's Dao sound, it was as if they were made of paper. How dare you? Who dares to disturb me? As the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked, the Dao sound did not weaken. Instead, it grew stronger and stronger. It was like a hurricane that covered the sky and the sun. Wherever it passed, all life was extinguished. Countless palaces condensed from the laws of divine abilities were directly turned into ashes. Occasionally, shrill screams could be heard. At this moment, a huge palace in the deepest part of the palace suddenly burst out with endless immortal light, and a furious voice gushed out. Rumble Chi. Chun Hao's Dao sound finally disappeared, and at this moment, a figure that was releasing endless divine light and boundless pressure soared into the sky from the intact palace. His bright eyes were like the sun and the moon, and he suddenly looked in the direction of the Dao sound. Everyone realized that these 2 eyes, which were already very bright and breathtaking, suddenly became 1,000 times brighter when they saw Chun Hao coming from afar. The Golden Dragon. This figure was the commander of the tyrants, the Golden Dragon. He was the Golden Dragon who appeared out of nowhere 5,000 years ago and obtained the title of the most powerful Grand Luo in the tyrants. Now, he was known as the most powerful Grand Luo in the chaotic vast thousand domains. What? No one knew how shocked the Golden Dragon was when he saw Chun Hao. His pupils constricted, and his body, which was surrounded by endless divine light, trembled slightly. His heart was in turmoil. How is this possible? How could he appear here? Impossible, it's absolutely impossible. With a cold and ruthless expression, an extraordinarily handsome face, a slender figure, and long hair that danced wildly in the wind. Who else could it be but Chun Hao, the god of massacre? The Golden Dragon, who was in seclusion to condense the embryonic form of the great world, had blocked all contact with the outside world. He was only awakened and angry when Chun Hao's Dao sound penetrated the palace. No matter who it was, he would crush anyone who dared to disturb his seclusion. However, he did not expect that the aura he locked onto and the figure he saw was actually Chun Hao, the god of massacre, but he could not figure it out. Moreover, the cultivators who were looking at him in shock were silent and did not reveal any information to him. You're the one who disturbed my seclusion? Tell me your name and accept your death. The Golden Dragon suppressed the shock in its heart and said arrogantly and condescendingly, You're the Golden Dragon? When Chun Hao saw that the Golden Dragon had been forced out by his Dao sound, which contained the mysteries of the Buddhist 6-syllable mantra, his expression became calm. His gaze seemed to pierce through the void as he stared at the Golden Dragon from afar. He suddenly stopped moving forward and asked in return. His voice was no longer rumbling like thunder, but calm and tranquil. That's me. Who are you? The Golden Dragon asked again, his eyes becoming even brighter. Even though they were thousands of miles apart, he could sense that the other party's aura was not as simple as it seemed. Could it really be Chun Hao, the god of massacre? He did not believe it. No one knew better than him how the Golden Dragon's true form had collapsed in the heavenly punishment. Brother Golden Dragon, he's Chun Hao, the god of massacre who dominated the primitive secret realm more than 10,000 years ago. The Sky Fiend commander could not help but say. To everyone's surprise, the Golden Dragon stopped him sternly, his gaze still fixed on Chun Hao. Shut up. I'm asking him. Chun Hao, remember my name. You, all of you. Chun Hao said calmly. After saying that, he slowly closed his eyes and murmured, Xiaonan, Du Jing, Lin Xia, Ao Tion's brothers and sisters, my fellow humans. Today, I will use endless blood to pay tribute to your souls. Junior brother, Ling, Brother Yang, I hope that your Yuan spirits are still intact. I will use endless blood to reforge your bodies. Chun Hao closed his eyes and murmured as if he was praying. His calm voice was no longer calm. It trembled slightly and contained endless heartache. Before he finished speaking, 2 streams of tears flowed from his closed eyes. The god of massacre, Chun Hao, who dominated the primitive secret realm like a merciless god of death who reaped lives, actually shed tears in front of countless foreign race cultivators. Tears of blood. 2 streams of blood tears were a shocking sight. At the same time, a terrifying, murderous aura slowly spread out along with his trembling voice. His face, any part of his skin that was exposed, and his long hair that was fluttering in the wind, quickly changed color at this moment. By the time he finished speaking, he had already turned completely blood red. Silence. Strange silence. Countless foreign race cultivators gathered here, including the 8 commanders and the Golden Dragon, seemed to be frightened by Chun Hao's emotions at this moment. They even held their breaths. From afar, only a wisp of aura that was intertwined and blocked all fluctuations let out a silent sob at this moment. Big brother, big brother. Chun Ling and Li Yang's hearts were trembling, and their souls were crying blood. They were born with immortal spiritual bodies, and their Yuan spirits were their strongest existences. However, their collapse was much more serious than Panlong's. Although they had escaped with their lives, they couldn't even separate from each other at this moment. If they separated, they would disappear from the world. Their primordial spirits had actually been destroyed, and their 3 souls and 7 spirits were incomplete. Only when their souls were intertwined together could they prevent their souls and spirits from dissipating. However, it was impossible for them to recover their strength. At this moment, they couldn't even get close. The soaring blood aura would directly dissipate them. They could only rely on their powerful senses as spirit cultivators to see their big brother returning from afar. Their big brother was facing the 9 commanders of the foreign race and countless cultivators alone. The 2 lines of blood tears caused their hearts to tremble. The gradually turning red and unstoppable murderous intent broke their hearts. They couldn't stop it, couldn't? If they could, they definitely wouldn't let their big brother do this. What did it mean for Chun Hao's body to turn blood red? It was the diffusion of the murderous intent without any control. Even the spiritual altar was completely released, allowing the murderous intent to invade and permeate. Through killing, he became a demon. Big brother, why do you... Linger, don't be sad. There's nothing to be sad about. When Big Brother starts his massacre and stains the 10 Directions territory with blood, we'll go with Big Brother. Let's go together. Yes, let's go together. Senior brother, you don't have to say it. I know what you want to say. In the next life, I'll be your big brother. No, in the next life, we'll still be Dao companions. I want to be Big Brother's sister, huh? But we might not have a next life. Senior brother. In the other direction, Coiling Dragon, who was only a Yuan spirit, was extremely fast. Although he had to avoid countless foreign race cultivators along the way, he still managed to make it in time. However, the densely packed foreign race cultivators formed a natural barrier that prevented him from passing through to meet up with Chun Hao. All he could do was to sense with his mind from afar. His senses weren't as strong as Chun Hao's and Li Yang's. He could only hear Chun Hao's voice and sense the monstrous, murderous intent. He really wanted to go and fight side by side with his senior brother, but he couldn't do that now. There were too many foreign race cultivators gathered. In the end, he came too late and couldn't meet up with his senior brother in advance. In the distance, Hu Mainyang, Helian Wuzi, and the others were desperately rushing. Unfortunately, they were in the barren area at the edge of the Ten Direction territory, and they received the news too late. It was basically impossible for them to catch up with Chun Hao. Starting from the periphery, all the cultivators of the human clan who discovered them chased after them madly. At first, there were only a few dozen people, then there were hundreds of people. Now, there were more than 10,000 people gathered. These were the remaining cultivators of the human clan, and they were basically the ones with higher cultivation. The weaker ones had already died. Being able to survive was a symbol of strength. This was only one direction. In the other direction of the Ten Direction territory, the scattered cultivators of the human clan gradually gathered from the periphery and rushed toward the core with all their might. Everyone knew that this would be a battle of life and death for the human race, and everyone was clearly aware that the chances of victory were practically zero. However, the return of the god of slaughter, Chun Hao, and his direct actions caused them to have no more scruples. Wasn't it just death? Then they would die a heroic death in battle. They would no longer drag out an ignoble existence. Their hope was almost zero, but it was the last hope, the last dawn. Whoosh! A gale that seemed to be stained with blood suddenly surged around Chun Hao. Oh no! Enter the devil's path by killing. The golden dragon was the first to let out a loud cry. Boom! Chi! The moment the golden dragon let out a loud cry, Chun Hao suddenly opened his eyes. They were scarlet like blood. Except for the endless killing intent, there were no more human emotions. Kill, 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 only kill. At this moment, the slowly spreading killing intent erupted like a volcano the moment Chun Hao opened his eyes. The void suddenly shook. Chun Hao, who was like a mass of bloodlight, suddenly flashed and directly tore the void. When he appeared again, his figure had turned into a giant of 10,000 feet. Lin! Boom! Chun Hao, who had turned into a giant of 10,000 feet, opened his mouth, and a vast and majestic Tao sound bloomed from his roar. Bang! 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 Rumble, there was no suspense. The foreign race cultivators, who had emptied out a radius of 10 million miles, did not even have time to react at this moment. They were all shocked by this terrifying Tao sound. However, this was not Chun Hao's attack at all. It was just the pure power of the sound wave, which caused countless cultivators to explode and die. When the word Lin came out, Chun Hao's huge hands nimbly formed a talisman that seemed simple but contained endless mysteries, which matched with the Tao sound. In an instant, it was as if he had merged with heaven and earth, becoming one with heaven and earth. At the same time, the monstrous killing intent skyrocketed and became even more fierce and terrifying. It was a terrifying will that could destroy heaven and earth and the universe, but could not be destroyed. The outline of the great Tao, the 9 words mantra, the Lin formula, and the Acalanthus seal. Once used, the cultivator would maintain their current mental state and would not panic in the face of danger. At this moment, their will would be unmoved and unperturbed, coexisting with heaven and earth. Even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of them, they would not be affected at all. This was originally a Tao technique to improve one's state of mind, but Chun Hao used it on his killing intent at this moment. Crazy! Ah, ah, ah! Boom, boom, boom! Among the horrifying screams, the spectating cultivators frantically gathered their own energy and quickly retreated. Go! Go together! The golden dragon's eyes narrowed, and the power and Tao laws around him surged wildly. At the same time, he gave the order. 2 nights in 1, begging for votes. Dark Mountain continues. Chapter 1064. Lu Qianri, who insisted on using Chun Hao's name, could only say "I" twice and did not say anything else. Was he going to challenge killing God, Chun Hao alone? Just a moment ago, he was brimming with confidence and wished for nothing more than to slap the arrogant Chun Hao to death with a single slap. But at this moment, looking at Chun Hao's imposing body that had expanded by 10,000 times using the Great Change technique, the terrifying killing intent that was released, and the degree of madness that was driven by killing, all of this far exceeded his imagination. This was definitely not something he could deal with alone. He even suspected that it was possible for the 9 of them to join forces. Join forces. Give me the order. Go. Everyone go. Tyrants. Those who retreat will die, and all 9 generations of your family will be exterminated. Boom. At this time, the Golden Dragon did not care about his reputation at all. Even if he could not figure out how Chun Hao could return and enter the 10-direction territory, he knew that the person in front of him was the real killing god Chun Hao. More than 10,000 years ago, he failed because of killing god Chun Hao. Today, more than 10,000 years later, when he was about to step into the Grand Mist Supremacy realm, he encountered killing god Chun Hao again. It was as if it had long been destined that this would be the biggest obstacle, the biggest restraint, and the strongest opponent on his path of cultivation. Only by destroying it would he be able to eliminate the devil in his heart, and only by completely annihilating it would he be able to realize his ambitions and aspirations. However, he had no confidence in Chun Hao's aura at this moment. If he rushed forward, he would be looking for trouble. Therefore, without any hesitation, the Golden Dragon took the lead and issued an order to the tyrant's cultivators. It was the most ruthless order. What did it mean to exterminate all 9 generations of your family? It was not just the life and death of one person, but the life and death of an entire family, a sect, and the life and death of all your family and friends. The Golden Dragon was the commander of the tyrants in the 10-direction territory. When the 9 galaxies formed an alliance in the outside world this time, the 9 commanders had absolute control. Therefore, when he said that he would exterminate all 9 generations of his family, it was not an exaggeration. It would be carried out by the Galaxy Masters. Even he is afraid. Lu Qian was truly shocked. Just now, he had only been a little skeptical about whether the 9 of them could take down Chun Hao. Now, there was no longer any doubt. Since the Golden Dragon had given such an order, it was either that he was not confident or did not have the ability to do it. Otherwise, with the Golden Dragon's self-restraint, how could he send the tyrant's cultivators to their deaths? Celestials, listen to my orders. Attack. Anyone who disobeys will be executed. Lu Qianri also issued the order after a brief moment of shock. Heavenly Fiend Race, listen up. Attack. Dark Demon Clan, heed my command. Spare no expense. Soon after, the commanders of the 9 galaxies gave the order to fight to the death. Go, go. The leader of the army controlled the situation level by level, crazily forcing his subordinates to attack. This was undoubtedly a tragedy for many people. Moreover, everyone knew that those who went up first would definitely be cannon fodder. But now, there was nothing they could do. Otherwise, he would probably be killed by the powerful army leaders around him. After that, countless Xeno-race cultivators let out frenzied roars as they charged towards Chun Hao, who was like a towering devil god, with the resolve to die. It was only a vacuum of tens of millions of miles. Countless cultivators of the alien races, who were willing to sacrifice themselves, released their strongest divine powers and laws. This was the only way they might have a chance to survive. At this time, the cultivators of the alien races who were lucky enough not to rush to the front line were all praying in their hearts that they could kill Chun Hao with one blow. At the same time, everyone finally understood how terrifying Chun Hao, the god of killing, was. He alone made the Golden Dragon, who was known as the most powerful person in the chaotic universe, and the other 8 commanders abandoned their pride and dignity. They did not dare to fight him, and instead asked everyone to attack him together. What did that mean? Senior brother? Senior brother. Pan Long's blood was boiling. Unfortunately, it was only in his mind. Without a physical body, how could he get blood? But at this moment, he was undoubtedly excited to the extreme. He, who was addicted to fighting, had never thought of challenging the alliance of the 9 galaxies alone. What kind of heroism was this? What kind of strength was this? He wanted to rush out. He wanted to, but he knew that he could not add to the trouble at this time. Chun Ling and Liang, whose souls were entangled together, were dumbfounded when Chun Hao uttered the word Lin and formed the mysterious hand seal at the same time. Was he really obsessed with killing? Army. Boom. Chi 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 chi. When countless cultivators charged at Chun Hao like locusts with terrifying power, Chun Hao's huge body did not move at all. He opened his mouth, and with a roar, he shot out another syllable. The pure sound wave directly caused the cultivators at the front to explode and die. The ones behind were like locusts that had suddenly been burned by fire, and they fell from the sky, screaming miserably. Buzz, 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 buzz. At this moment, Chun Hao formed another mysterious hand seal with his hands and merged with the word army. Great Vajra wheel seal. Become a weapon and command all the divine weapons in the world. Almost in an instant, those cultivators who had exploded, fallen, and were charging toward Chun Hao felt that the divine weapons, which were one with their minds, suddenly trembled and were cut off from their divine thoughts. The divine weapons violently flew out of their hands and attacked them. Fighting! The battle character art exploded out right after. At this moment, Chun Hao finally moved. The instant his hand seal was formed, his body that was like a mountain suddenly shook, and his battle intent and slaughter intent abruptly soared by a large amount. Boom! His entire body turned into a fiery red waterfall, crushing the void and charging toward the direction of the Golden Dragon and the other 8 commanders. Go, go, all of you go! Roar! The Golden Dragon roared, and his body swelled crazily at this moment. The other 8 experts also raised their strength to the peak, but like the Golden Dragon, they did not take a step forward. Boom! Boom, boom, boom. Blood rained down from the sky, and the blood-curdling screams of pigs being slaughtered sounded one after another. Facing the cultivators who were forced to block Chun Hao's path, Chun Hao punched and kicked, turning them into minced meat. It was not enough to describe how he killed 10 people in one step. Join hands, and form a divine ability. Combine your strength. Kill, 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 kill. At the beginning, the foreign race cultivators were completely cannon fodder, but after thousands of them were killed by Chun Hao in an instant, they finally understood that rushing forward like a swarm of bees was not enough and was completely courting death. Therefore, it quickly became hundreds and thousands of people. They all gathered their strength and worked together to form an extremely terrifying attack. It was also at this moment that the effect appeared. Chun Hao's figure that was advancing at high speed like a cannonball was finally blocked and slowed down. Third update, seeking monthly votes. Chapter 1065. Chun Hao could have dodged their attacks and used the great teleportation technique to enter the crowd and kill them all. However, Chun Hao did not do that. Chaos? That would only happen when the 9 commanders started to panic. The murderous will permeated his entire body, and his beer was tainted. Naturally, he went into a murderous frenzy, but he controlled it to the right level. The mantra of 9 syllables contained in the outline of the Great Way, the Lin formula, restricted this delicate balance. His mind was filled with endless murderous thoughts, but he was abnormally clear-headed. He knew very well that there was a limit to one person's power. It was impossible to kill all the alien races at once. However, the 9 great commanders had to die today. None of them could escape. When they were not panicking, which meant that they could not escape, since the other party wanted to send these cannon fodders to their deaths. Why should he not? The tyrants, deities, insects, heavenly demons, dark demons, winged demons, goblins, elves, and ghost race took turns to attack. One wave was killed, and the next wave charged forward. Chun Hao reaped life after life coldly and mercilessly. His enormous body had long since been stained with blood and covered with shocking wounds under the increasingly close and powerful attacks of his opponents. However, he, who seemed to have entered a state of obsession with killing, did not notice it at all. Kill, 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 only kill. Blood dyed the surrounding thousands of miles red. Blood flowed like rivers, and white bones formed mountains. The god of killing Chun Hao moved slower and slower. However, he stepped on the eerie white bones and moved forward step by step with determination. When tens of thousands of alien race cultivators were killed, the lucky ones who had not entered the battlefield were already terrified. Their legs and stomachs were trembling. When a number exceeded 100,000, some of the cultivators who were forced to enter the battlefield directly collapsed under the instinctive desire to win. They screamed and wanted to disobey orders to escape, but they were immediately killed by the leaders of the alien race army. No one could retreat. Go, go. Those who retreat will die. Do you see? He's getting weaker and weaker. Your deaths are worth it. Die for the glory of your race. Kill, kill, kill. The 9 great commanders, including the Golden Dragon, were extremely shocked. What kind of monster was this? Even the Golden Dragon felt a chill run down his spine. Who was the Golden Dragon? The Shao clan's patriarch. He really couldn't figure out how a cultivator from the Daluo Golden Wonderland could be so powerful. Previously, when he thought that it was impossible for the god of slaughter Chun Hao to appear in the ancient chaos Great Thousand World, he also thought that even if the god of slaughter Chun Hao returned and reached the same level as him, he would not be a match for him. This was because the current him was different from the Shao Yan of the past. Shao Yan's heaven-defying 10 lives defying heavens was simply a shortcut to the heaven-defying path. Now, because of the destruction of Shao Yan, Meng Hao gained enlightenment and gained new enlightenment regarding the true 10th anima. He had truly broken through the limits of numbers and was able to create the true 10th anima. This was definitely not something that Shao Yan could compare to. The Golden Dragon was named after the ancestor of the Shao clan had comprehended the mysteries of Shao Yan's golden scale dragon transformation. The difference between Shao Yan of the past and the current Golden Dragon was the difference between a golden scale dragon and a golden scale dragon. But now, the god of slaughter Chun Hao had returned. The aura that he released at the beginning made him understand that he was no match for the god of slaughter Chun Hao. Even he couldn't kill more than 100,000 cultivators in one go. Fortunately, as the battle continued, the injuries on Chun Hao's huge body became more and more serious. Although the will of slaughter he displayed became more and more terrifying, his battle strength continued to weaken. This caused the Golden Dragon's shocked expression to gradually ease, and it turned into a boundless coldness. An ant can kill an elephant, haha. Gotta slaughter Chun Hao. So what if you're strong? Today is the day you die. No one can save you. The Golden Dragon roared as he watched Chun Hao grow weaker and weaker. Phew! At this time, Lu Qianye and the other great commanders, who had been in a tense state, let out a long sigh of relief. They were shocked to find that their backs were already drenched in cold sweat. He's too strong. Gotta slaughter Chun Hao. Is he really just Daluo Jinxian? He's definitely stronger than the invincible supreme Hong Meng. I wanted to fight him one-on-one. Lu Qianye shuddered at the thought of it. Go, go, go. Victory is in sight. Masters, there's no need to sacrifice too many people. The Golden Dragon suddenly shouted again. Immediately, the 8 great commanders also gave out orders. At this point, even they didn't want to send the cultivators of the same clan to their deaths. It was undoubtedly the best to let the masters fight. Boom, boom, boom. Kill, kill, kill. Tens of thousands of masters in the army made their moves at this moment. Although they had long been frightened by Chun Hao's heaven-defying strength now, no matter how strong God of Slaughter Chun Hao was, he was an arrow at the end of its flight. It was undoubtedly a very lucky thing to be able to kill such a terrifying existence. Even if it was like an ant biting an elephant to death. Roar. Right at this moment, Chun Hao let out a furious roar towards the sky. Wham! Suddenly, his entire body shook, and his enormous body instantly returned to its original size. The countless shocking injuries on his body had shockingly vanished completely as he returned to his original form. Chi! With a flash of light between his eyebrows, Chun Hao's hands suddenly put on a trap that bloomed with a terrifying aura. At the same time, the Overlord Spear's domineering aura spread out. Chi! Immediately, Chun Hao's figure suddenly flashed and disappeared into thin air. The great teleportation technique. What? The 8 commanders, who had just relaxed and their minds had become a little more agile from their sluggish state, suddenly let out a cry of surprise. With a boom, they once again frantically roused their energy. As for the golden dragon, it rose into the air at an extremely terrifying speed with a whoosh. Die! Chi! In an instant, he crossed tens of millions of miles. The dazzling spear light seemed to cut through the void and appeared directly with Chun Hao's cold voice. Ah! Boom! The Goblin Clan commander, who reacted a little slower than the Golden Dragon and the other 7 great commanders, was suddenly enveloped by a terrifying soul pressure. He used all his strength and completely subconsciously burst out a heart-wrenching cry to meet the spear light that seemed to break through the void. Boom, boom, boom. In this short moment, everyone saw the Goblin Clan commander being pierced between his eyebrows by the spear and then exploding to death. Then, like a flash flood erupting and the collapse of stars, the entire space was annihilated. Amidst the mushroom cloud of terrifying energy explosion, a ray of resplendent spear aura suddenly shot out, blinding everyone's eyes. Innumerable sounds of people sucking in cold air and falling to the ground due to fright spread out. Don't even think about escaping. Seal! Chun Hao's voice, which seemed to come from the depths of hell, resounded between heaven and earth. At this moment, the golden dragon revealed a horrified expression, and the 7 great commanders, who thought that they had avoided Chun Hao's sudden attack, suddenly screamed in horror. 4th update, requesting monthly votes. Wushan will continue. Please everyone, monthly votes. Chapter 1066. Chi, 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 Chi. As Chun Hao uttered the word seal, the magnificent vitality and green light spurted out of his glabella like green tentacles that slithered forward and twisted the time and space. At this moment, the time and space within hundreds of millions of kilometers seemed to have come to a standstill. Only the green tentacles that looked like snakes and dragons spread out crazily from Chun Hao's glabella and instantly covered the sky and the sun, engulfing the entire space. A dash! Screams of terror, cries of despair, and frenzied and desperate shouts resounded throughout the world after a brief moment of silence. When some people were entangled by the tentacles, their minds were destroyed by the murderous will contained in them. Other than screaming and crazily struggling to release energy, they couldn't even remember to use their ultimate techniques. Instantly, their arms, legs, and heads disappeared one after another, as if they had been melted into the tentacles. Some people unleashed even more powerful strength in their panic and tried to flee into the distance. There were also some people who frantically protected themselves. They unleashed their divine abilities at all costs to block the tentacles that blotted out the sky and seemed to be able to devour everything. A few people made the wisest decision in the blink of an eye. They detonated their bodies and fled to the periphery with their souls that were multiple times faster than their bodies. The Golden Dragon and the 7 commanders, on the other hand, bombarded the tentacles that were close to them violently and fled at high speed. However, no matter how fast they fled, the tentacles that seemed to be growing in the wind got farther and farther away from Chun Hao. Instead of weakening, they became stronger and stronger. The infinite vitality, the endless laws of Tao, and the magnificent and horrifying murderous were all rapidly strengthening. Today, I will offer an endless sacrifice to your undead souls with endless blood. I will rebuild your bodies with endless blood. At this moment, the Golden Dragon, the 7 commanders, and the countless cultivators who were relatively strong and hadn't been scared out of their wits watched the endless lives around them disappear, and the mountains of blood and bones that had belonged to more than 100,000 people being devoured by the green tentacles crazily. In their minds, they recalled the voice that god of slaughter, Chun Hao, murmured with tears of blood before the battle. Fear. Boundless fear. Under this boundless fear, the golden dragon knew that Chun Hao was no longer an existence that could be defeated by the combined forces of all the cultivators in the 9 galaxies. His title as the #1 Grand Luo in ancient chaos was simply a joke in front of him. Was he any different from those cannon fodders from before? No. No matter how powerful his divine ability was, it could only delay the time it took for him to be devoured, let alone attacking Chun Hao, who seemed to have transformed into a tree that connected the 9 heavens and 10 earth. Without a doubt, judging from the dense tentacles that covered the sky and earth around him and the 7 commanders, what they were facing was much stronger than the other cultivators. Even if they destroyed their physical bodies, their primordial spirits would not be able to escape. Roar! The golden dragon didn't dare to hesitate any longer, and it suddenly let out a thunderous roar. Although he was fuming with anger, and although he knew that doing so would directly affect the peak power of the fusion in the future, he had no choice but to do so. He couldn't hesitate any longer, or else it wouldn't be as simple as being devoured in the 10th anima. Boundless and terrifying essence, which contained the mysteries of Hongmeng Qi, soared into the sky with the golden dragon's roar. At the same time, an incomparably resplendent light bloomed from between his brows, triggering divine punishment. Before the prototype of the great cosmos had been tempered into a perfect framework, or more accurately, before the basic framework had truly taken shape, the golden dragon had triggered divine punishment. By doing so, his strength would be greatly affected after he stepped into the Hongmeng realm. The most direct effect would be that the increase in strength after his original body, fused with the 10th anima, would be greatly reduced. But there was no other way. It was better than being devoured. Once he was devoured, all the secrets of his original body would be exposed. Moreover, his original body didn't have much time to sacrifice the 10th anima to form a new one. Only by triggering divine punishment could he escape with his life. Brother Jean, save me. Save me. Brother Jean, save me. I will submit to you and follow you forever. Brother Jean, save me. At this moment, the other 7 great commanders hadn't fused with the great cosmos brand. To be precise, they hadn't comprehended the Hongmeng Qi in order to hunt down the Proud Heavens members and human cultivators. Now, they were madly rushing toward the golden dragon. Divine punishment. They knew very well that once the golden dragon triggered divine punishment, it didn't matter if the prototype of the great cosmos was perfect or not, it would still take shape and have a great cosmos in its mind. Then, they could enter the great cosmos in its mind and escape from the hands of the god of slaughter, Chun Hao, the devil. Stop him with all your might. When divine punishment descends, hold on until it's over. I'll take you with me and escape. The golden dragon roared. Even if he triggered divine punishment, the Milky Way tunnel connecting the 9 heavens and 10 earths would only open after the divine punishment was over. Only then could he leave the 10 corners domain. Therefore, before that, they had to stop the terrifying Chun Hao. All right, let's join forces and stop him. If we can hold on, we'll live. If we can't, we'll die. Let's fight. Fight. Protect Brother Jean. The 7 great commanders were not idiots. They immediately understood the key point, so at this moment, no one hesitated. As for ordering others, there were not many cultivators within a radius of tens of millions of kilometers who were still persevering. Those who were quick on the uptake wished that they had more legs when their parents gave birth to them, so that they could run as fast as they could. How could they still obey orders? They could only rely on themselves. Boom, boom. They all released berserk power as they desperately tried to block and move to the golden dragon's side. Terrifying tribulation clouds quickly condensed as the golden dragon's aura madly gathered. The golden dragon knew that he had to give up the tempering of divine punishment. The moment the first divine punishment appeared, he had to destroy it and give up the tempering of resisting it head-on. Only in this way could he open the Milky Way tunnel as soon as possible. "It's useless," a voice that seemed to come from the nine serenities hell suddenly rang in their ears. "Big brother, it's me, Ling, big brother, it's us." When the tentacles spread tens of millions of miles, hundreds of millions of miles, and hundreds of millions of miles, chasing after the cultivators who were fleeing in all directions, Chun Ling and Liang, who were also in a daze and extremely terrified, suddenly unleashed the last bit of aura left in their souls and shouted frantically. They had no idea if Chun Hao could recognize them. After all, Chun Hao's original body was more than 100 million miles away from here. It was most likely that he would devour and destroy everything. The two of them looked at the tentacles that were getting closer and closer to them, and they were extremely terrified. They could naturally escape if they wanted to, but they shouted desperately and released their auras, hoping to hold on until the last moment. If their big brother's consciousness was not in the tentacles, then they could only run. Fifth update, begging for monthly votes. Chapter 1067. Hiss, hiss. When the tentacles were only about 100 kilometers away from the two of them, and were about to reach them in the blink of an eye, the endless and dense tentacles suddenly separated to the two sides as if a watershed had appeared. With a swish, after bypassing the two of them, the tentacles interweaved again and quickly extended into the distance. Phew! Chun Ling and Liang, who had been holding their breath, finally breathed a sigh of relief. Ah, they're making way? At this moment, what surprised Chun Ling and Liang even more was that in the direction of Chun Hao, the endless tentacles quickly separated, forming a cave-like passage. Needless to say, this passage had been specially opened for the two of them. Big brother, swish. The two of them burst into tears of joy as they turned into streaks of light and charged toward Chun Hao. Senior brother. Ha 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 ha. In another direction, Curly Dragon's soul, which could be considered tough, was laughing in excitement. But his eyes, which looked like a shadow, were red. Just like Chun Ling and Liang, he rushed into a channel that was cleared for him. A while later, Chun Ling, Liang, and Panlong souls were only barely able to control their dispersing souls after their souls had intertwined. They directly entered Chun Hao's mental world through the tunnel created by the tentacles. There was no time gap at all. The moment the three of them entered, boundless and pure vitality and endless spiritual chi of the world poured over them. Big brother, big brother. Sob, sob, sob. Chun Ling sensed the endless life, force, and energy of the world surrounding her, which was filled with care and fear that she would not be able to withstand it all of a sudden. It seemed to have turned into streams that fused into her heavily injured soul. She immediately cried out loud, "Don't cry. No matter how serious your wounds are, Big Brother will heal them." When Chun Hao sensed that Chun Ling and Li Yang's souls were damaged and could only be maintained by fusing their souls together, he consoled them with heartache. "Big brother, don't worry about us for now. Kill. We can't let that golden dragon escape." Liang sternly said, "That's right, senior brother. Kill them all. Kill them all. Let's avenge little Nan, Du Jing, and all of our brothers and sisters in proud heaven." Elder brother. When it came to little Nan and Du Jing, Coiling Dragon, who looked like a ferocious beast, began to choke with sobs. "Rest assured, none of them will escape. They will all die." Swish, swish. In the outside world, the 7 commanders had arrived around the golden dragon to protect it. When Chun Hao suddenly spoke, the tentacles suddenly tightened, as if they had turned into long spears. Suddenly, the murderous will and the laws of the mystical powers were released. It was unknown how many times stronger they had become, but they covered the sky and covered the earth as they blasted out in an extremely violent manner. Ah! Boom, 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 boom. The 7 commanders and the golden dragon, who was in the center, roared in horror at this moment. They were like ferocious beasts that had been trapped in a cage and had gone completely mad. Puff! Ah! However, this was only the first round of attacks. They didn't sense anything unusual among the tentacles. Suddenly, a dazzling spear light flashed with a mysterious aura that was completely beyond the knowledge of the 7 great commanders. Even the golden dragon's pupils constricted. Without any suspense, the spear pierced through the forehead of the winged clan commander. Swish! Swish! However, this time, the body of the winged clan commander didn't explode. Instead, it was pierced like a hedgehog by the countless tentacles that seemed to have turned into spears. In an instant, its flesh and blood disappeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Even its bones were entangled and devoured by the tentacles. No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. This horrifying scene frightened the other 6 great commanders. The elf clan commander gave up resisting and knelt down with a plop. Killing God, Chen Hao, please let me go. I don't want to die. I'm willing to be your slave. Please let me go. Facing this power that was on a completely different level, he was in complete despair. This was only the first round of powerful attacks, and the winged clan commander, who was no weaker than him, had his soul destroyed with a single spear strike. Then, his soul was devoured until nothing was left. How long could they last? It was impossible for them to survive the 9 levels of heavenly punishment. Trash, you're courting death. The golden dragon was furious. Without any hesitation, he slapped at the elf clan commander. It's not your turn to attack. Swish, swish, swish. Chen Hao's cold voice sounded again, and the endless tentacles blocked the golden dragon's horrifying attack. Then, with a series of puff, 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 the desperate elf clan commander was pierced like a hedgehog and devoured completely. Slaves? How dare you? I'll kill you one by one. I'll use your blood as a sacrifice to my brothers and sisters. Don't worry, your soul consciousness won't disappear so quickly. What awaits you is an endless purgatory and endless pain. What? Chen Hao's cold voice sent chills down the spines of the golden dragon, Lu Qianri, and the others. Could it be that the devouring earlier didn't destroy their souls? Death wasn't the most horrifying thing. What was horrifying was being unable to live or die. Devil, devil, devil? What was it when the 9 galaxies joined hands to fight against the human clan and killed the human clan's cultivators? I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. It's your turn now. Puff. The Overlord spear suddenly shot out from one of the tentacles at lightning speed. Boundless profoundness, terrifying pressure, and majestic and violent power. Without any suspense, the Overlord spear pierced through the Spirit Clan commander's forehead. Boom! Crack! The first heavenly punishment finally descended under the golden dragon's frenzied urging and triggering. At this moment, the golden dragon was terrified, but he didn't give up hope. Suddenly, he punched the heavenly punishment descending from the sky toward the tribulation cloud. Hold on, all of you. There's still hope. There's still hope. The golden dragon roared. Chi! At this moment, to the golden dragon's horror, a stream of light that was faster than his attack suddenly appeared above him. At the same time, a huge handprint came crashing down. Boom! Boom! The golden dragon's attack, which had gathered all of his strength, was annihilated by the handprint. How can such a powerful heavenly punishment be wasted? Chen Hao, who had countless tentacles extending from his forehead, stood proudly in the void at this moment. He looked up at the terrifying heavenly punishment descending from the sky and separated all of his tentacles so that his physical body could be directly exposed to the heavenly punishment. Ah, how is this possible? How can you be so strong? How is this possible? The golden dragon looked up at the figure, standing proudly, and roared in horror. God of Slaughter Chen Hao, if you dare to kill me, the God clan won't let you go. I'm the last disciple of the controller. Lu Qianri's face was pale and his body was trembling, but he still shouted at Chen Hao frantically. The last disciple of the controller? I didn't say that I'm going to kill you. How can I kill you? At the very least, I should leave behind your soul origin brand. As someone from the ancient chaos universe, I haven't been to any of your major galaxies. No matter what, I have to go and have some fun. Crack! Boom! Boom! Chun Hao endured the endless bombardment of lightning, but his voice didn't fluctuate at all. Such terrifying strength made Lu Qinya and the others completely despair. First update, begging for monthly votes. Thank you. Chapter 1068. Roar. The golden dragon suddenly let out a terrifying roar. You forced me to do this, so? Are you going to use your true Abijna law? Why? Don't you want to hide anymore? Chun Hao interrupted the golden dragon before he could finish his sentence. He looked down at the mad golden dragon with disdain, his eyes shining brightly. What? What do you know? Naive. Don't worry, you can't do anything. I'll kill you with my own hands and wash the tyrant clan's gene family with blood. You. How do you know? You want to know? Then I might as well tell you that the 10th anima you've comprehended is too weak. Although you've broken through a level compared to Xiaoyan, compared to me, it's not enough. Your essence is still connected. So how can it be considered a true 10th anima? How do you know? Then I'll have to thank Xiaoyan. I'm only SOSO in other aspects, but when it comes to comprehending ultimate laws, I'm pretty good. I accidentally comprehended the true 9 lives profundities and broke through to the 10th life. I guess that counts as having comprehended it. It's a pity that my 9 lives haven't been fully condensed, so I can't try it out. What problem? The golden dragon seemed to have completely accepted his fate. He looked up at Chun Hao, who was standing in the void and resisting his heavenly punishment. To be able to derive the 10th life, even if it was Xiaoyan back then, you should have recovered to your peak strength, right? But your strength back then? Oh, I'm talking about your original body. You couldn't dominate the vast universe galaxy. Your 9 lives must have entered other galaxies and obtained a very high status, right? Hearing Chun Hao's words, the golden dragon looked terrified, but there was still a trace of pride in his eyes. You're very smart. At the same time, I also have a problem. If you fuse your 9 lives, I believe that Senior Yi, who hasn't succeeded in Nirvana, wouldn't be your opponent, right? Even if you joined forces with my father, it wouldn't be enough, right? Why didn't you unify the vast universe galaxy first? Why did you split up? Old man wants to. Elon, if it was as simple as you think, the old man would have controlled the ancient chaos boundless world long ago. Oh, so it turns out that I underestimated Senior Yi. You don't have to waste your energy. Don't even think about sending out any information. What? At this moment, the golden dragon was truly shocked. The 10 Direction territory shielded all the mysteries of heaven, but he had the ability to penetrate the 10 Direction territory. The great deduction skill that he told the 8 commanders was just an excuse. He knew nothing about the legendary great deduction skill. Among the countless worlds in the endless star river, only a few super powerful figures who had the cultivation method of the great deduction skill could break through it. At most, they could understand a little bit of it. It was impossible for them to penetrate the 10 Direction territory that shielded the mysteries of heaven. However, he was in the 10th life. Once the major world imprint was refined into a basic prototype, he could rely on the link between the origin and the original body. The embryonic form of the major world of the 10th life and the original body's major world could link up with the aura of the outside world and obtain a certain amount of deduction ability. At this moment, he had triggered the divine punishment. Although the embryonic form of the major world had not been refined into a basic framework, once the divine punishment moved, it meant that it had taken shape. Through this subtle link, he could confidently transmit information to the original body. This was his biggest plan in talking to Chun Hao and stalling for time. He was certain that he could not keep the 10th life. If he could send the information back, at least the original body would be prepared. Chun Hao's heaven-defying ability was a huge threat to the original body, let alone the Golden Dragon. In the 10 Direction territory, once he ascended to the Grand Mist Supremacy realm and stepped out of the 10 Direction territory, he would be no less an obstacle than Chun Hao. However, he did not expect that everything he did seemed to be under the control of Chun Hao. Buzz. Endless mysterious runes suddenly appeared out of nowhere in the void. Every rune released an extremely terrifying pressure, as if they were shielding the heavens and the earth. How is it? Not bad, right? Chun Hao said with a slight smile, the corners of his mouth curling up slightly. However, the cold light in his eyes and the blood-red, killing intent did not diminish in the slightest. How is this possible? Who the hell are you? Chun Hao, nicknamed the Killing God. Who else could he be? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Even a true immortal severing Tao, even if the old man was in his peak state, could not comprehend such a terrifying divine ability. Your runes, this aura, although it's still very weak, its mystery is definitely a divine ability above the true immortal king realm. You're indeed an old fart. You're quite knowledgeable. This is merely an immortal sutra that I comprehended in another greater thousand world. It's just SOSO. As he spoke, Lu Qianri and the others, who had already given up resisting, were already entangled by the endless tentacles. Even their souls were imprisoned. However, Chun Hao did not immediately make a move. He did not even look at them. Only the Golden Dragon was free at this moment. However, the Golden Dragon, or rather the Shao clan patriarch's 10th life, knew very well that the other party only wanted to use his heavenly punishment to temper himself. Once the 9th heavenly punishment descended, he would be at the mercy of the other party. I can't let him off so easily. The Golden Dragon, who was in complete despair, had 2 rays of resolute light in his eyes. Suddenly, he shook with a buzz and wanted to explode and die. This was the best outcome. It was much better than being completely controlled by the other party and unable to live or die. However, just as his body shook, Chun Hao, who was staring at him, had a trace of disdain in his eyes. As for the Golden Dragon, his face was ghastly pale. Unknowingly, the mysterious runes had already invaded his soul and body. Just as his soul power and true yuan moved, they were imprisoned. Crack! Rumble! The Golden Dragon's essence, energy, and spirit were all under Chun Hao's control, causing the terrifying heavenly punishment to descend continuously. Chun Hao was strong, not because of his absolute strength, but because of his divine power laws that completely surpassed his realm. At the same time, Chun Hao had also used a power that belonged to him, but was not his true strength. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree. This was something that Chun Hao had never been willing to use or rely on. However, this time, the boundless killing intent and hatred made Chun Hao cast aside all his scruples. He used the cruel and inhumane methods that the other party had used on the human race. Devour. Devour everything. Any cultivator who could not surpass Chun Hao in terms of absolute strength would not be able to stop this devouring. After chasing for a full 1 billion miles, Chun Hao's powerful soul power finally reached its limit. He could no longer control the Tao manifestation immortal fruit tree to continue forward. However, Chun Hao was already very satisfied. Even before the battle, he had not expected to achieve such an effect. Second update. Seeking monthly votes. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.